My friend says caffeine's a drug. I said, oh, tell your friend, fuck you.
I don't want to be your buddy, Rick. Just want a little breakfast.
And welcome to Breakfast Punks, a podcast about weird shit, DIY punk and trashy movies, brought to you by Sham City Roasters and Deadbeat Donuts. From Hastings, I'm Siobhan.
And I'm Dave, and welcome to episode 35, where we're going to be talking about Manchester Punk Festival and reviewing the film Red Surf from 1989.
All the songs we're playing on today's episode are going to be bands that played MPF. The first band is Angst with the song The Burden of Hope Part 2. They're from Berlin, and this song is from their album Summits of Despondency, which was released in 2020. So this is Angst with The Burden of Hope Part 2.
Everyone, and the highlights of the news this Thursday.
Breaking news is part of this job.
You are fake news. This is what's happening in your world tonight. It's fucking news.
Well, pack a picnic, Siobhan, and get your sea legs ready.
I'm so ready.
Because the National Poo Museum has opened its doors on the Isle of Wight.
Yes!
It's a museum dedicated to excrement, with examples from the animal and human world.
Oh.
and it's just open to the public. Co-curator Daniel Roberts says poo is all around us and inside us, but we ignore it. I would say he's not been listening to this podcast very closely.
We're a lover of poo. In fact, poo robots were only last week, I think.
They have 20 illuminated resin spheres which show off all the different types of feces, and they have some facts hidden behind toilet lids on the museum walls. So they're an awful lot of fun. On their Wikipedia page, there is a section called Poo at the Zoo.
Aww.
It tells us some of the poos that you can look forward to if you go to the museum of poo.
I wouldn't want to spoil my adventure.
Well, some of them are interesting, some of them less so. They start with the big ones. Lesser Madagascan tenrec. You think to yourself, well, that's an odd.
What's a tenrec?
I don't know. It's a strange animal. So I've never seen one of their poos. A tawny owl. Equally, I like a tawny owl.
Didn't we learn that what animal was it that we learned about over the weekend that does cube poos?
Oh,
Someone told us about. Oh, god damn it! I don't remember. Was it an anteater?
It might
or
be
something?
a meerkat.
No, I can't remember. But there's an animal. Answers to shamcityroasters@gmail.com. But yeah, there's an animal that does cube poos. I wonder if that's in the museum.
I don't think so. It might be because number 4 on the list.
Poo-seum,
Well, that's what
sorry.
they clearly should have called it.
Yeah.
Number 4 on the list is a meerkat, and I'm fairly sure that the meerkat is the square poo. But I might be
maybe.
wrong.
Okay.
They've also got a lion. So these are, you can understand this. People go into the
big
Poo
poos.
Museum to see these impressive poos in spheres.
Do you think?
But-
Yeah.
Cow,
I don't really want to see a cow. poo.
fox. I mean,
Yeah.
you literally go anywhere and see a fox poo. Human baby.
No thanks.
But then they have got a 38 million year old poo, but it doesn't say who it's come from.
Oh, well, I don't know. What dinosaur poo? Dinosaur poo? I don't know when dinosaurs existed.
Probably. A 140 million year old coprolite. I should know what that is probably, but I don't.
Does anyone?
My favourite one?
Yeah.
A poo with teeth and bones in it.
Yes.
A poo that looks like a cereal bar. I feel like they're getting a little bit desperate there. And a child's shoe, which a cat has marked by pooing in it.
Yay!
So this place sounds extremely interesting. Who in the fuck is going to go to the Poo Museum?
I a little bit, if it wasn't on the Isle of Wight, would be going. But why does
Would
anyone
we?
go to the Isle of Wight?
I think if I was staying next door to a Poo Museum,
you
I almost said
definitely
porn
go.
museum then. We went to the porn museum in Hamburg. Was that a porn
Was it?
museum?
Porn museum in Hamburg? It sounds like it would be
I
there.
think there was
I think it was
some
just a
sort of-
sex shop
there
on the
was like-
Reaper Bar. I don't know.
No, there was some sort of
I'll take you to the
dirty-
porn museum, Siobhan.
No, there was a dirty museum. Why am I taking you?
I don't know.
Yeah, there was definitely a museum of some sort of
Amsterdam,
dirt.
maybe?
I don't know.
I
Anyway,
don't know.
point B. No, that was the Penis Museum.
That was
Anyway,
in Iceland.
These fucking people are getting desperate with their museums. Clearly, the Penis Museum obviously took off because people giggled at it and a load of fucking boring tourists all went and looked at it.
We refused to pay the 20 quid entrance.
I think it was more than 20
It was
quid.
quite expensive.
So now they're doing the Poo Museum. It's on the Isle of Wight. If you're interested in seeing a child's poo or a human
No.
poo or a fucking poo that looks like a cereal bar,
I wonder
that
if-
you could look. It's like a toilet. Your toilet is a museum.
Your toilet is a museum. Also, I feel like we know enough poo facts. I think we could make a fairly good poo museum.
All of our
Of
poos
our
are
own.
about mentally ill poos, though.
Oh, I've got some stories. But also, I wonder if they've got one about that lemur.
By the way,
that-
just to say, not that people with mental illness have a specific sort of poo, just that
Well-
medication, which people with a mental illness and lifestyle
Oh, yes.
sometimes leads to interest in poos.
interesting and horrendous and, you know. What about that lemur that poos out coffee and that's meant to be very expensive and very luxurious? I wonder
Yeah.
if they mentioned that in this wonderful museum.
It's not on their
Museum.
website.
Poo-seum.
It's not on their website. I think that what I understand about that poor animal that poos out coffee is that they're really horribly treated.
Oh, are they?
And probably no one should be bringing that home with them on holiday because they're in little cages and they're just forced to constantly eat coffee and poo it out.
Oh, I hadn't really thought about the battery farming of lemurs. Oh, dear.
So I have actually tasted it before and it tastes like extremely average coffee.
Really weak,
It's
rubbish coffee.
not even weak, it's quite strong really, but I think it probably depends on what coffee you put in the poor animal's mouth.
Oh.
It doesn't roast the coffee in its stomach. I mean, it's given coffee that's ready to drink.
And then just pops it out the bottom. Well, I wonder if this man has visiting the Poo Museum on his bucket list, along with some other things. Dying man who mooned at speed camera for bucket list is in trouble again.
Oh, this man sounds like he's going to be a lot of fun as well.
I mean, he is a lot. The first picture, I mean, this is awful. The first picture is him being thrown on the ground by a lot of policemen after doing a big moon. Daryl Mecom pictured as he was being arrested for mooning at a speed camera. He's a terminally ill lecturer, but he's been charged for using threatening behaviour when he was arrested for mooning at a speed camera. He's got loads of things he wants to do before he dies of MS, poor bugger. And one of them was to moon at a speed camera. But they've arrested him, and when he was being arrested, he got a bit annoyed, and so they're taking him to court again.
I'm sorry, did he moon again whilst getting... Are all of the things on his bucket list mooning at different things?
It's just this one particular one was just a moon at a speed camera.
Okay.
I pulled my trousers down and mooned at a speed camera. That's all I did. They are essentially admitting that there was no offence committed in the first place. I don't know where he's got that from. What are they going to come up with next? They're literally looking for any little thing to get me on. Don't know why he's feeling so attacked. Probably
because he's dying.
Police are laying on his back.
I think he sounds like he's just grumpy and he wants to just cause as much trouble as he possibly can before he goes.
There is nothing on this charge sheet saying I committed any initial offence whatsoever. Why were they kicking the living daylights out of me in the back garden if there was no offence committed?
So is the story or is he suggesting in his story that he mooned at a speed camera, presumably for a laugh, because then the photo of him in his speeding car would be his bottom? And
no, I think he was walking past the speed camera. I really don't know. I don't know how he's done
even
this.
less so then. So what's he getting arrested for? Why is it... I've been caught on a speed camera before. Police don't turn up in your back garden and hand you the thing, and then if you moon at them or kick them or whatever, then they beat you up.
It's feeling a bit weird,
You just get a fucking letter.
I don't really understand what the real offence is here. But if it is indeed nothing, then that's bad. But there are 6 police on top of him in his back garden in this picture. So all this after they bashed my doors in. Oh dear.
Again, you don't get your doors bashed in because you mooned at a speed
Causing
camera.
thousands of pounds of damage for no good reason. The police escalated it. I'm furious. I never thought it would get to this point. It's a case of bullying. They're trying to get anything they possibly can to get to me. I dread to think how much taxpayers' money it is costing to do all this.
Oh my god, this guy sounds like a fucking cunt.
My health will not and has not got better since all this started. The stress has made my health worse. It's unbelievable. Daryl, who lives with his wife, 36.
That poor woman.
Very proud of the fact he's got 20 years on his wife. Previously told how he was left stunned when the cops turned up outside their home.
I am never on the side of the police in any situation, but I have to say this guy's definitely lying. He's obviously done something considerably more serious than moon at a fucking speed camera. And that's why the police don't knock down your front door.
I got out the car while my wife was getting bread at Tesco Express.
That poor wife.
Yeah. I flashed my bum. I pulled my trousers up and got back in the car. I didn't think anything of it. It was a good laugh. But I came home within 20 minutes. There's a police van outside. I was too scared to go out. It was quite frightening. Really.
Okay, so I'm going to add something to this story that he's not added.
Yeah.
There was presumably a child nearby, or this was... He might have thought it was aimed at a speed camera, but it wasn't. It was aimed at a playground.
Is speed camera like pedo slang for like 6-year-olds?
It sounds like it might be. I mean, I think this guy should die as quickly as possible.
Oh dear. Well, his bucket list involved...
What else is on his bucket list?
It doesn't even say. It
Oh,
doesn't
fucking
even
hell.
say.
Well,
it's sounding like a ruse for I got caught mooning a child.
I appreciate that he has obviously been told that he's going to die fairly soon, but let's be realistic. We're all going to fucking die fairly soon.
We're all dying.
And so, obviously, that's the whole idea of a bucket list. I totally understand. But if one of the things on your fucking bucket list is to moon at a speed camera, you need to get a life.
Or die.
Or
get
die.
a life or die. Oh dear. Well, wishing you all the best, Daryl, or whatever your name was.
None of the best, Daryl. None of the best. Sorry, we're recording this podcast slightly later than we normally do, and I think I'm grumpy.
You're wishing death upon everyone. Oh dear. Long
Not on everyone. Well, yeah, on everyone. Everyone's going to die. Eventually, I've also been reading a lot of philosophy about
You
death.
have, haven't you? It's all coming out.
Sorry.
It's all coming out.
Well, a gorilla... Talk about me being grumpy.
Yeah.
This isn't going to help. A gorilla is addicted to smartphones. So now his zookeeper has had to cut his screen time down.
This
Buckle
is just
up.
going to get you grumpy.
A mare, an eastern lowland gorilla, who is a resident at Chicago's Lincoln Park Zoo, is apparently so fond of staring at a phone screen that he didn't notice when another gorilla charged him.
Aww.
The gorilla obviously doesn't have his own smartphone, but zoo goers keep showing the creature pictures and videos on their phone through the glass divider, and it keeps him captivated. Now, I have a problem with these human beings that are getting their phones out and showing fucking pictures and videos to a gorilla.
It's
like
only the human beings that the problem's here.
Well, yeah,
They
but
put him in a box and then they're forcing him to look at a phone.
Well, yeah, of course, but then it brings up a lot of issues, doesn't it?
Tell me about your issues.
This gorilla almost got killed by another gorilla because he was looking at a phone. So I think metaphorically we should all take something from that ourselves.
There's an evolutionary thing here, isn't there?
Yeah, we're only not being murdered in the street when we're looking at our phones because
the other people are looking at their phones
police
too.
officers looking after us by beating up a man who moons at the camera.
Yeah, true. And the people driving their cars are also looking at their phones. They're too busy to run you over whilst
But
you're
more
looking at yours.
importantly, these fucking human beings
Yeah?
who cannot do anything in their life, presumably, without it involving their phones, are showing a gorilla, a fucking gorilla,
A monkey.
pictures and videos on their phones. Like, oh, look at this. This is me and Sharon from last week. We went up the club.
Being at Benidorm, that's my photos when we was down in the...
Oh, I had so many Bacardi breathes. I really did.
Oh.
My knickers were round my ankles by the end of the night.
Oh, this is Mario, who was our waiter. But he
tell
said
you
he
what.
remembers us. He's going to remember us for next year. We booked already. We booked already. Going to get... Oh, this is June. She lives only a few towns over. Can you believe it? You go all the way to Spain and you meet up your neighbours, and we're friends now. Friends for life, going next year together. Sorry,
The
I forgot where this
gorilla,
started.
the gorilla is not interested in any of this.
The gorilla is like...
The
I'm gonna
gorilla wants
fucking
to
kill
eat
you.
some food and not be killed by the other gorillas.
Hmm.
Even in a zoo.
But he's
What do these people do if you put them in the jungle? Would they go up to venomous snakes and show
hi!
them pictures on their phone? Say, oh, I've got a really funny meme to show you.
Yeah.
The human race is
Doomed.
a fucking nightmare.
Well, there we go.
The zookeepers had to add a rope in addition to the glass divider.
So he can
to
hang
keep-
himself?
No, to keep people away from the gorilla as much as possible so that they wouldn't show him their phones. But if anybody tries to still, despite the rope divider, and still from being a distance away from the gorilla, they're still holding the phones up, trying to show it videos and photos. Anyway, I'm fairly sure this is probably just like one person's done this. It's not the whole human race, but my God. Who's showing anything on their phone to a gorilla?
I mean,
What's happened to the world?
Why everyone to the zoo in the first place?
There's just something about it that just really makes me sad.
Well, fear not, David, because the human race is slowly getting more interesting and diverse, and you just don't know it just yet.
Oh.
But Dr. David Jacobs of Temple University is going to tell you that aliens are abducting humans and living on Earth before invasion, he claims.
Thank Christ.
Thank God. He's written several books on alien abductions, and he's been interviewing supposed individuals about their ordeals, and he claims to have formed this chilling conclusion from their testimony. He says that they are not only abducting humans, but are using mind control to integrate themselves into Earth's society. There's a new documentary that's going to come out about it called Extraordinary, The Revelations, which is during UFO week. I don't know when that is, but I'm in.
It's going straight to YouTube,
I'm in.
whatever it is.
Yeah, they've been abducting humans using mind control, and an alien species is preparing to invade the planet. He says, we have spread around the world and conquered it as much as we can. We don't know whether that is true of other beings or not, but it is certainly true of what we have done. And my best guess, and this is a guess, is that, yeah, they're doing the same thing. This is what they are doing, just like us. He went on to claim that he has spoken to a huge number of abductees who told him that in the future they would have a job to do. He said that many of the abductees claimed that they had recalled being given the same instructions about crowd control. He explained that when they get older, they will be required to stand on the corner of a street. There will be a large number of people running down the street, and your job is to say, just keep moving, everything's going to be okay. It doesn't sound that exciting, all these people that have been abducted. And the one thing they know, like they keep seeing in their head is, at some point I know when the time is right, I'm getting the signal, I've just got to stand in the road and say everything's fine.
It wouldn't make a very good sci-fi movie.
It's pretty shit, isn't it? It's not that exciting. He suggested that abductees' testimony began to change over time.
There's a surprise.
And they're claiming to have seen human-like aliens on board the UFOs. what they were describing was that the ones on board who looked really, really like humans were coming down and trying to learn what it's like to walk among us and what it's like to be human. So he's saying that some of them already look a bit like us and they're down here walking among us, telling us to stand on the street because in a few years' time you've got to do some kind of crowd control. It's not very exciting.
Chill all the people out who are Moonian, probably.
Yeah. Basically, when the alien invasion comes, there's just going to be loads of people grabbing the high-vis vests, running into the street going, I knew it was coming! Go this way! Oh, and so when he found out about the aliens that look like humans and the fact they may already be walking among us, he goes, at that point I knew it's integration into society prior to takeover. They can control us and we can't control them. They are superhumans, so to speak. So this professor from a university in this country is scared. He's not scared, he's just, he's just very aware that aliens are just chilling amongst us, ready to take over.
Well, I wasn't going to do this one.
Oh.
But as you've brought it up, another professor, a doctor, Dr. Michael Sarlo.
Yeah,
I
know
spoke
that name
a number of times.
Yeah.
On this
Oh,
podcast.
He's not your.
He's been at it again.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
He's asking: is an ancient space ark at Lake Vostok heating up Antarctica? Now, do keep in mind at all times whilst I tell this story that this is from a conspiracy website that does not believe in global warming. On the 18th of March, news emerged of a heat wave in East Antarctica, the epicentre of which was the Vostok region that sits atop a mysterious lake 2 miles under the ice sheet. Oh. Scientists are baffled. I mean, they're not. Because
they've been talking about this for a while.
By the heat surge of more than 70 degrees above average temperature and are seeking answers. A likely explanation
Yeah.
comes from two sources. You know who these sources are. Mrs. Elena Danan is back.
Oh,
She's been talking to her alien friend Thorhan.
Thorhan, that's it.
and also, do you remember our little friend JP? Who just got out of the army? Yeah, he's also jumped in on it.
JP, he's found. Is he the one that's found some friends?
He's found his friends. Oh. He's gone to a spaceship where all of the various leaders of the galaxy meet on the spaceship.
Yeah, of course they do.
And he made a lot of friends. What we didn't realise is that these guys, they're just really nice guys.
They're really nice guys up there, guys. It's going to be so good when we all hang out.
Anyway, scientists are flabbergasted.
I'm sure they are.
Because of this high temperature.
In the North Pole.
And this is why.
Or South Pole, sorry.
There's been a discovery of a large magnetic anomaly at one end of Lake Vostok.
Yeah.
Which is apparently 65 by 46 miles in size. And multiple sources claim that it is either an ancient city or a large alien mothership.
Fuck yeah.
And
fuck yeah.
By the fact that it's starting to heat up the Antarctic from underneath, of course. Keep in mind this is all happening from underneath the Earth, nothing going on above.
No,
which is making any difference to this whatsoever.
Also, it's not as if the inside of the Earth is like molten lava and there's volcanoes under the sea. But anyway,
no. Forget that when you've got a massive spaceship under there.
Yeah, no, of course it is.
So if it's heating up, what the fuck's happening? Is it about to spring into life?
Oh,
is it
my
about
God.
to overtake the Earth? And will we require people to stand on the corner and say everything is going to be all right?
Fucking Ted, or whatever his name is from university. He's right. Maybe.
The thing that I love about this story the most is that all of the various people, and you will have to have been a really close listener to this podcast to remember all of these people, but over the course of time, I used to be into this website, Bibliotheca Pleiades, because it has all of the craziest shit on it.
Yeah.
But over time, it exhausts you a bit. I've left it alone for a while. There is an awful lot of lots of anti-different things.
All of the things.
All of the things that you wouldn't really want to read about. But there is some peaches in there, most of them by this little fella, Dr. Michael Sarlo, who really is a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
But all of his little friends, like JP, Elena Danan, he's got a new one called Jean-Charles Moyen, who is a French contactee and secret space program insider. How do you prove that you're inside a secret space program?
You can't, because it's secret, David.
It's all coming through his website, Exopolitics, today. He chats to all of these people, but the beautiful thing is they're all starting to meet each other and become friends. But as a result, now they're all fucking meeting Thorhan because, of course, their delusions are all mixing together.
And also, so JP and Elena Danaan can't get it on because isn't Elena Danaan married to Thorhan? Aren't they lovers?
But yes,
In her
except
brain.
but Thorhan lives inside of her. Or
Yeah.
comes inside, doesn't come inside. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen?
Wait.
No, he becomes her.
Oh, and she speaks in his voice.
She speaks in his voice, but not very
Yeah,
well
it's
because
not very well at
still
all.
got a I think her accent is French or
she's
something.
doing very well. Oh no,
No, that's
someone
JP.
else.
No, Jesus Christ. No, Elena Danaan has, I think it might be like an Eastern European accent. And
yeah.
so when someone from the galaxy comes into her body and talks through her, she still has the same accent.
That's fair enough.
Not
Do you remember
really
that
sure why.
woman that had the ghost of, was it Michael Jackson or someone?
Oh, she was a goodie too.
She's doing very well. We hang out all the time.
She split up with Michael Jackson's ghost and she got together with someone else's ghost.
Who wasn't even dead yet.
Who wasn't even dead yet.
Yeah, come on.
I think she got together with two different ghosts, but one of them was still alive.
And then
She's a
if you
good
ask her
one.
to explain, she goes, I don't even know. It's weird that it happens, isn't it?
If you listen to this and wondering what the fuck we're talking about, go back and listen to the 60 or 70 hours worth of Breakfast Punks podcast.
It's in
And
there somewhere.
You might find a little bit.
A little snippet.
But yeah, all of these people are meeting and they're all more or less just agreeing with each other. JP confirmed that arcs such as this one are activated by the DNA of a select number of individuals, who I think he is presuming are all of these people that have met each other through this crazy website.
Yeah.
But consequently, it is very plausible that the Draco reptilians, aka Kikar, used the Nazis to get access to human DNA they could use to activate these arcs.
That is starting to sound like David Icke.
Yeah.
Does he mean Jews when he means lizards?
Well,
doesn't it?
I mean,
It
Draco
doesn't feel
reptilians, which are called Kikar.
who were brought about with the help of the Nazis.
Yeah, it does. Sound
Starting
a
to
little bit.
sound a little
There
bit
is something.
anti-Semitic.
It is strange. I might have said this before. It is strange with conspiracy theories how they all merge into one, even though they're completely different.
Yeah.
Like if you hold like really anti-Semitic beliefs and they turn into conspiracy theories about the government and things. If you then decide that aliens are real, for some reason the whole set of principles that you base your conspiracy theories on just move on to those aliens, even though a government ruling us all and aliens coming from above have nothing to do with each other apart from the fact that they're put into this thing called conspiracy.
Yeah.
And people don't seem to realise this, but it always gives them away. Because it's like Alex Jones. Alex Jones has the same set of principles, and it doesn't matter what it is he's talking about. It can be, like I say, aliens, or it can be someone he doesn't like in the Trump administration, or it can be someone who's just done a school shooting.
Yeah.
But he'll treat all of them with the exact same issues.
Yeah.
But they can't have the same issues because they're all different.
Yeah, how does an alien...
They're all doing
yeah.
different things.
Oh, God.
So that's the problem here. So maybe
That is
this fell into a little bit of anti-Semitism.
It does sound like it did.
So let's
We need
leave
to close that
alone,
website
shall
down.
Oh my God, sorry.
Oh, God. He's put his arms in the air, everyone.
I forgot to mention, Elena Danaan met up with this French fellow, Jean-Charles.
Oh, okay.
The day before, the previous day to when
Don't.
she talked to this
Yeah.
scientist. And guess what?
No.
They went to Antarctica. They just popped there.
What?
And now they've worked it all out.
Oh, good. Oh, sorry. Thank God. So we don't have to panic.
We might have to panic. I don't really know.
Dear.
So she went to Antarctica and she has received a communication.
Of course she has.
And it's in wonderfully broken English. This is now the explanation why I wasn't allowed to remember this moment, because it was meant that Jean-Charles remembers. So what she's saying there is that Jean-Charles remembered them going to Lake Vostok.
Yeah.
Right? He took her there. He said that they had both gone, but she said, "Oh, I don't remember. Don't think I did go." But then she's realised since that actually she did go. She did go, it turns out. Because, and here's why, I think it's a good strategy that they scatter information. Not always the same person you know. I find it very good. Then there was a lot of also holographic projection around Jean-Charles to show him, make him confident and settled in the project. Just to give you an idea of what she's trying to say there, I think what she's trying to say is that She went to Antarctica but didn't remember it because the aliens had scattered information and only allowed her friend Jean Charles to remember. And she finds this very good.
Very clever.
Melanie was there as well.
Who's Melanie?
I think Melanie might be the other one that talked to Thorhan.
Oh.
Melanie was there as well to make him confident. But I was really there and with him. So she's jealous about Melanie there.
She's like, I'm his mate. Don't you fucking come at me, Melanie.
And I remember now, but he was meant to be the one to remember first because, as Thorhand always says, remembering is activating. So now we can confirm about Lake Vostok. So that paragraph that I've just read confirms all of this information.
Of course. I don't really know what's happening.
There is a ginormous spaceship beneath the ice in Antarctica and it's heating up.
Ready to explode.
And that's the only reason that ice is melting and polar bears are dying and what have you. Just this spaceship.
Just that spaceship. It's gonna come
and it's coming.
Well, get your high-vis ready and stand in the road and tell everyone it's going to be okay. Well, we've talked about weird and wonderful creatures of the world a lot.
And ones from out of this world now.
Well, I'm from out of this world. I'm thinking of Sasquatches and things of that nature. Loch Ness Monster, have we ever brought them up?
I don't think we have.
Well, ecology professor theorises that the Loch Ness Monster may just be a whale penis. Michael Sweet, who is a professor in molecular ecology at the University of Derby, has suggested that Nessie isn't a monster at all, just a whale penis. He said that the sea monster stories always say that there's this tentacled and alien-esque appendage emerging from the water. But whilst many think that something more sinister may be lurking beneath, Sweet says that in most cases it's just whale penises. Well, he's called them whale dicks.
Oh, well, he sounds like a lot of fun as well.
He's posted some pictures of them. I can see how someone from a distance might think that was a Loch Ness Monster, because it looks like a little head, but in full colour it's kind of, it's just a big pink appendage waggling about out of the water.
I've seen a whale's penis.
Have you seen a whale's penis?
Yeah.
Have you actually?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
This is good radio.
Well,
have you really, listeners at home?
Would you like to have some whale facts?
Yeah. Can I just check before the whale facts, though? So, is the idea that the Loch Ness Monster is still connected to a whale, or that it's a whale's penis that's been cut off and is rolling around? No, only because if there was a whale in Loch Ness that was big enough to have a penis that was big enough... I know that they're very big, but I think you would know that there was a whale in Loch Ness, wouldn't you?
Oh, that's true.
The whales are very big. Particularly if they've got penises big enough to look like a sea monster.
Wait. I don't know. I've looked at these pictures and I'll find a way of putting them on Instagram or something. I'm a little bit convinced that, it does look like a monster. It's a monstrous penis.
All right.
Whales often mate in groups, so while one male is busy with the female, the other male just pops his dick out of the water whilst everyone's swimming around whilst waiting his turn.
Sorry, is this an article from Loaded magazine from 1996? What the fuck?
Here's another fact about whales. One female whale is typically paired with a primary escort, and a group of males will try to fight for their right to overthrow the escort and earn mating rights. A competition pod can have a handful of whales, or a large group of 12 to 15.
How do two whales fight?
With their massive dongs. I don't know.
I think it's a sword fight. Surely they must ram each other or something, but there must be...
With their massive dongs.
No, but they... Well, maybe.
I don't know.
That doesn't sound like fighting to me. That doesn't sound fun.
I have no idea, but the pictures of these things are quite... So, I'll try and find a way of showing the world.
Well, I have a very quick story just to finish this
Fantastic.
off. Because, just to finish this off...
Hey, there it is.
Because we have covered a number of similar stories on this podcast, and I feel like it might be... If we have an expertise, it might be this. Doctors in Brazil discovered an 8-inch dumbbell lodged in a patient's rectum after he arrived at A&E, complaining of cramps and severe constipation. Again, he knows that the fucking dumbbell is there. Why are you going in and
Elephant
complaining?
in the room.
Oh, I've got cramps. I don't know what it could be.
I don't know why I'm constipated. Definitely don't look up my bum.
Medics found the patient uncooperative. And they decided to x-ray his abdomen and found a 2-kilogram dumbbell lodged firmly inside him. Unable to tease it out with tweezers, a surgeon inserted their hand up to the forearm to manually extract it. Other items retrieved from men's rectums include vegetables, check, we've covered that, torches, Don't think we've had torches. And a 15-inch eel. Hey! We did the 15-inch eel.
Should have sent the little poo robot up there to go and collect it.
Well, it's toxic though, isn't it? So it will kill him. It will kill him immediately.
Sounds like he doesn't deserve
It
to.
sounds a little bit like he wants to die.
Yeah.
2
Don't take the
kilograms.
dumbbell out.
2 kilograms of dumbbell. Again, we say this every time. We're sex positive here on the.
Oh yeah, stick what you want up yourself.
Put
Just be prepared to get it
in
out.
your rectum, but don't go to A&E and say that you've got stomach cramps. They're going to find out, or they're not going to be able to fix you.
And don't get uncooperative. Don't be that guy who turns up asking for help and then doesn't actually want to get the help.
I imagine he was in a
Get
lot
it
of
out
discomfort.
yourself.
He was probably grumpy.
Yeah, maybe true. That's assuming he put it up there himself. What if you just woke up and you were like, God, I don't feel too good, and someone had played a horrible joke on you?
Your friend had put a 2 kilogram dumbbell up your arse. I think that you would have woken up, first of all, during the procedure. And I also think just the shape of a dumbbell, I mean, it goes in hard, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It's like...
Goes in hard.
But it's like it's a tough... It's not... It's a tough edge.
It's a blunt edge. It's a blunt...
No, it's a big edge.
It's a big edge.
It's like putting a butt plug in backwards and then having another butt plug on the end of it.
Yeah, very that.
Jesus.
Yeah. I would say a 2 kilo one isn't... I can see why he thought he could do it, but he shouldn't have. They're usually quite rubber. I can't imagine the lube needed.
Imagine the lube to get your hand in there up to the forearm.
To the forearm.
I mean, again, I know it's doable, and again, if you enjoy that sort of thing, you fucking go out.
I love that. I wonder.
Enjoy yourselves.
I wonder what that surgeon's reputation is generally, because I imagine there's like ways to do things that are like, oh yeah, but
call in Diego.
Yeah, Diego.
He's got the long gloves.
This is his thing. We know. This is awful. Oh dear.
You know where they put their arms up to the forearm into animals' bums? Don't you? The countryside of Norfolk.
When will it stop? North Walsham is rocked by new little trolley barricades. Poor the people of North Norfolk don't fucking know what to do with themselves.
I've been to North Walsham.
My mum used to live there.
I know, that's where I've been
North
there.
Walsham plenty, but Lidl weren't there when we were there, and thank God, because we'd have never got out. Because the people of North Norfolk have asked for further support from the police after late night trolley barricades continue on a busy road. The young'uns of North Norfolk have, they're very upset.
Have they just been like building a dam in the road?
Basically, Lidl, a new Lidl has appeared in North Walsham.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Lidl. Everyone's very happy, I'm sure. But the young'uns, the youths of North Walsham, have been putting barricades of trolleys across the main road, meaning that
is it the main road
if your
in
car
and out of
goes
town?
up to it, that can't get round it.
Yeah,
and
that's what a barricade is.
Yeah, that's what it is, and it's very dangerous.
Surely there should be more cars on the road that, even at night, that wouldn't give you enough time. You couldn't do that in London, that's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't know what you try to say about North Walsham. It's a very nice place. Loads of people live there, I'm sure. There is a man who does not wish to be named who has taken some photos of this, and he's noticed youths fleeing the scene. He said, I was on my way home on Sunday evening. I came across the trolleys. And I thought I'd better take a photo to show Facebook, as I'd seen people have been putting photos up on the Facebook, and I am on Facebook.
Didn't he take it fucking down? Then the cars wouldn't have to worry about it.
A lot of trolleys. He saw a large group make escape into the darkness, and he said, I'm reckoning I'm going to form my own neighbourhood team to combat these trolley pests, because I feel that there is a lack of support from the authorities. That's the first time I've witnessed this in person, but I have seen it on Facebook, and I have given my opinion on the situation.
So like a
Sure
Charles Bronson style vigilante group.
Yeah. He's like, I've advertised for other people to join.
Oh my God.
As no one round this town seems bothered to stop this vandalism at all. Makes me ashamed that things like this keep happening to our beautiful town. It did look like youngsters, but you never know what their intentions were, and when will this stop, and what will be next. Sorry,
what's he suggesting there?
I don't know, but
so is he
if I could
suggesting it might be older people in hoods or something?
Well, I think he's saying first it's trolleys blocking the road.
Next it's all out
Next
war.
it's fucking, we're going to be having to hurl things at the youths. That's going to be a blocker. Everything's going to go wrong.
Call
North
the National
Walsham,
Guard.
Civil war. The police have been called. They have said that if you're confronted by a blockaded road or the youths, take an alternate route and then call 999 because this is an emergency.
If you see any youths, you should call 999.
If you see trolleys in the road.
Right, okay, that's fine. But he did say groups of youths.
Sorry, but trolleys in the road don't seem like
Sorry?
an emergency, is it?
Did you put a W in road then?
Sometimes it has one. There are some words that end up having extra syllables in Norfolk. You don't fucking know.
Well, that's...
So that's what's going on in Lidl. I do hope that this crime spree ends. It's too much. It's too much. Trolleys in the road. What are we going to do next?
I tell you what we're going to do next.
Oh, well, yeah.
We're going to play a song.
We should do that.
That was good, wasn't it?
Very good.
We're going to play another band who played at Manchester Punk Fest, one of my favourite moments of the entire festival. And it is a band called Christmas,
Whoop, whoop.
who we've played on this podcast before. The song is called Born to Booze. I thought that was appropriate considering the weekend that we had.
Whoop, whoop.
And it's from their album Hot Nights in St Vandal, which is out via TNS. It came out in, I was going to say last year, but it's 2022, isn't it?
Whoop.
2 years ago. Christmas are from Germany. They're fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Here's Born to Booze.
Hello to all our lovely Breakfast Punks podcast listeners. Did you know that you can now support us via our Patreon?
We have a number of different tiers that you can support us on, and if you give £3 or more, then you will get an extra monthly episode of this very podcast, in which you may hear such intellectual nuggets as these. What's the picture that you've taken of your penis where it looks at its very best?
Would you get hard?
What, have you won the lottery?
What's your controversial opinions? Social media's going to kill us. I quite like Gary Glitter's
Yeah.
songs. What the fuck?
If you could finger one thing, what would you finger?
Oh, you're such a twat.
I know. Please do a double fart.
Well, I think he accidentally got me in the nether region as well. I was like, I don't know about this birthday treat, but it feels a bit weird.
Daniel Filth is on his first date there, furiously masturbating to someone's vaginal skin. Maybe I should have stuck with paedophiles.
So sign up now at patreon.com/breakfastpunkspodcast.
Thanks for your money.
Cheers.
Welcome back to Breakfast Punks podcast. We're now going to move on to our main section of the episode. It's going to be a fairly loose main section, I think.
If you can't already tell.
And we're talking about Manchester Punk Festival,
Whoop, whoop.
which we attended just at the weekend's just gone. It happened over the 15th to the 17th of April, if you're listening to this at some other futuristic time.
Yes.
Manchester Punk Festival happens every year. Obviously, it didn't happen the last 2 years.
2 years, yeah. 2020 it
Because of
didn't
COVID.
happen, and 2021 it didn't happen, yeah.
And it happens across Manchester. It happens across 8 different venues. It's run by the lovely people that run TNS Records and Anarchistic Undertones and Moving North. And they get together once a year and put on this massive fuck-off festival that covers all of your punk rock needs that you could possibly want.
And it really is massive. It really is massive.
It's a huge undertaking. It's
Ridiculous.
quite incredible. Both the scope of like the amount of bands that they have literally, but also the scope of like how many different genres of punk it covers.
Just organising
Yeah.
that many people to be playing at the right times in all those different places.
Yeah.
It's just like massive credit to the people who put it on.
Yeah, I mean, being involved in a much, much smaller version of Manchester Punk Festival, I can tell you that it must be an incredible undertaking
Yeah.
to do this, because, yeah, just the little thing that we do
In the one venue.
in the one venue is sort of, a lot. So I couldn't even imagine where you would start.
No.
Me and Siobhan went to our first Manchester Punk Festival in 2018.
2018?
We were kind of late to the party a little bit. It was one of
Really?
those festivals that I always wanted to go to and just sort of never ended up making it that way. And plus, obviously having the cafe for so long, it made it quite difficult. Haste were lucky enough to play it in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
so I went, but I left you in charge of the cafe.
Yeah,
So I don't
over
think
Easter
you've-
weekend.
I don't think you've ever fully forgiven me for that.
Jealousy's a horrible thing. I wish I was there. Not going to lie, sweating in a cafe or sweating in a gig would have been, I don't know. Tis
Similar in
what
some
tis.
ways.
Tis what tis.
And then, like we say, there's not been one for a couple of years, sadly. And so this was like, and probably the first really big, certainly in the UK, no question, the first really big punk festival that's happened since
Yeah.
COVID and all of that shit.
And like properly since COVID, because I know that there's been like a small version of Download happened, or a small, like, I know they're not punk festivals, but like some festivals have existed and some things have gone ahead.
Yeah.
But it's all been still like all masks on, masks off. This is
Yeah.
like fully in the now.
And
In the world
it
we're
does
in.
feel, or it did at least over the weekend, feel like a million years ago that we were all forced to stay in our homes.
Yeah.
It felt sort of like going back to normal. I don't know whether that means we all got COVID or not. But
We'll
I
soon
haven't
find
heard
out.
any. I haven't heard a great number of tales of lots of people getting it. So I
Not
mean,
yet.
it is what it is at this point. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is what it is. So we're going to talk about the festival day by day based on kind of how we saw it, because there was so much to see and so much to do that we obviously couldn't do it all. So we're going to just run through the bits that we did get to see and give a few notes to those that we wish we'd seen or that we heard really good things about.
When you
if and
say
we
notes,
can.
I should make it clear we didn't take notes.
Oh.
We were usually drunk.
Yes,
So
by notes, I mean.
we're going to try and remember what happened to us over
Yes.
the course of a weekend.
And maybe that will air some memories with you all. So our weekend began by doing this very podcast. I think we started just before as the first band was kicking off.
Yeah.
So we did wonder if anyone was going to come, but we did a live breakfast punks in the Sandbar.
Something that we've certainly never done before, and I would say that we had none of the skills required to do a live podcast.
I don't know.
No, that's probably, I worded that wrong. We certainly had no experience of doing it, and I don't think either of us had a fucking clue how it was going to go.
Oh God! I mean, on two levels. A, we're not public speakers at all. The joy of doing a podcast is you do it from your own home, and you really don't actually have to look anyone in the face other than each other, and it's a very different experience to speaking in front of people. But the other thing, B, is our our setup at home. I cannot stress to you how primitive this is. I mean, we're both in our pyjamas currently with little shirt mics pinned to a laptop, and we're just going at this.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally... you
Which I
know,
think...
like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain there, Siobhan.
Yeah, sorry.
You've really...
I mean, there's loads of other things. There's loads of other really cool items of equipment. But really,
Well,
it's,
what, like a bottle of water and a bit of paper?
yeah, there's a cat that sometimes gets involved. We have to edit out a lot. So, yeah, it was just kind of weird being like, oh, yeah, we're going to be in front of people showing ourselves.
Yeah, and it sounds really stupid, but the practical element, this is such a stupid thing to say, but it is definitely the biggest hurdle that I found. The practical element of just like holding a microphone and talking into it felt so different. It felt
Yeah.
like we were somewhat disconnected from each other in a way that we're not when we do this podcast
Well, it's 'cause-
normally, because we're normally just literally sitting here having a chat.
Yeah.
And as soon as you put microphones in front of yourself, and of course a crowd, and of course a stage and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it felt a little bit like suddenly I was Maybe it was because, we've obviously both been on stage, respectively, and we've both spoken into a microphone before.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat different doing that to just chatting.
I think it's also having direct feedback from an audience, because this podcast we don't do to be funny or to get reaction. We just do it for the sake of doing it, and if people like listening to it, that's fine. I'm not expecting people to wailing at home with laughter. But when you have got a crowd of people that are occasionally...
And all those poo stories,
I know, we're fans of the poo. But when you do get the occasional laughs, all of a sudden you're very aware of it, and then you're like, oh shit, there's audience, and you feel like you've got to feed them. So I don't know. That's probably
feed them
just
gags.
Feed them gags. But I feel like that's just my my own little small anxiety. But it was an awful lot of fun.
It was loads and loads of fun. I mean, it felt weird for about 10 seconds, and then it felt pretty normal.
And it was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we freaked out about if we were going to speak for like 10 seconds or not at all, and it ended up being the right amount. So
yeah, I mean, planning it was a nightmare because, again, obviously, when you're just doing it like we're doing it now, you kind of got an eye on the time, but you can cut things out
because the clock on the cooker is right behind me.
Yeah, we can edit it down a bit. We can do all of that sort of stuff, and so we don't tend to plan time.
No,
when we're doing it properly, which you can probably find out just from looking at
how long
all of these fucking things are 2.5 hours long. But when you've got like a 45-minute slot and you're like, we're going to do this thing. How long is this going to take? It could take feasibly 5 minutes. Or it could take feasibly 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, and I've no idea. There's no way.
And how do we determine when it's happening? Yeah. How do we slim it down?
And we're going to be completely like crapping ourselves on stage. So there's no way I'm going to think to look at my watch enough or whatever.
And what if no one comes? And what if we have to stand up? And what if everyone comes?
What if we have to stand up?
I know, these
Can
are
you
all...
imagine?
But this is what was running through our heads. It was awful. But anyway, it was all very good, and loads of lovely people came to watch us. So thank you all. A lot of people that I think already do listen to this, so it was very, very, very lovely.
And we have put that episode up, if you haven't listened to it already, online. So you can listen to it if you like. It won't make a great deal of sense to listen to unless you also... So the idea of that podcast was that we made an imaginary roast dinner. And we invite... Well, we didn't actually bring a roast dinner. It was imaginary. Yeah. So what I said was true. And who would we invite to that roast dinner? And because we were doing it in public with people looking at us, we drew pictures of the people. Yeah. And I think...
Like a show and tell.
The vast majority of the conversation that ended... What it turned out... I'd prepared lots of things. But what ended up happening was we mostly just discussed the pictures.
How shit you were at drawing.
So you might need to go to our Instagram page and...
Look at the pictures.
Those pictures open.
Play along. So then we stayed and we saw another live podcast, and that was Seabin Podcast, who are amazing, and they did a fucking very good job. I'm glad that we went before them.
Oh, fuck. Yes.
Fuck. And that was amazing. It was Simon, who does Seabin, who plays in Rash Decision and Monolithian. He... did like a co-host with Alex from Bobby Funk and Sniff.
I suppose it was an interview. It depends. I don't know how you talk about it. But the Seabin, I'm sure anybody listening to us would know. The Seabin is a little bit like Room 101. Yeah. So they pick things that they don't like and then decide whether they go in the Seabin.
Yeah.
In the Seabin.
The Seabin.
But this was absolutely, that's exactly what they did. But it definitely felt like much more than that. I think when they did it live... I don't think it's unfair to describe it as basically a stand-up comedy.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Not that they had written anything, I don't think, for a second. They're just both extremely funny, extremely talented people.
Yeah, they're both very funny, good storytellers. And so, I don't know, it was just very, very natural and very funny to watch. And I'm not someone who would go and sit and watch comedy all that often, but it was fucking great. It was fucking brilliant.
Twice we've been to see comedy. Within about 3 days of each other. Because for Siobhan's birthday, we went to Brighton for a couple of days, and one day we didn't have anything to do, so we went to see some stand-up comedy, and there were 6 people that did their stand-up comedy, and I would say 2 of them were absolutely excellent, and the other 4 were fucking dire. Weren't they?
Put on their parade. Yeah, no, they were.
Well, they don't know. I'm not naming any names here. I'm just saying to watch really, really terrible stand-up comedy. Yeah. Even in a room, and in the room that we watched in, people were really behind these people. They were a lot of them were new and stuff. Like, I'm not really even having a go at them. But to watch really bad stand-up comedy live, your soul dies a bit. And so then to come and just watch a couple of punks who never do this, just sit in front of people and be really funny, is really impressive because it's not like you don't notice. Like I felt a little bit like our audience when we did it. It was almost like making a best man speech, right? I've only done that once in my life. But when you make a best man, or any wedding speech, but the best man's one is always supposed to be funny. Like, you know that the room is really on your side. So if you say something that's supposed to be a joke and they understand that it's supposed to be a joke, even if it's not funny, they're going to laugh.
They giggle.
And they're going to clap and they're going to go crazy. Because they're drunk and they want you to do well. And I felt a lot like, with us, we were funny-ish, but we probably weren't that funny.
But I don't think we aim to be funny.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is people were really behind us. But whereas I think for the Seabin one, it was just like, this is actually really genuinely bona fide funny material.
Yeah. Dead good. Dead good. Would watch again. Hope they do it again. So then we calmed our nerves and ate some food finally for the first time that day after our long morning of freaking out about having to speak in front of people. And we went over to the Zombie Shack, which is fucking cool. I love the Zombie Shack. Little tiki bar, tiniest venue, up some stairs, so a bit of a problem come the evening. This day, on the first day, we'd missed a fair amount of stuff. And one of the reasons was because Haste played the Zombie Shack. What sounds like a long time after, but it didn't feel like a long time after, so we kind of had to get over there, and so we didn't really see a lot of bands. So it's probably worth mentioning that Pizza Tramp played the main stage. Yeah, the big un.
I only heard really good things about that. And we missed the Menstrual Cramps, which I'm gutted about. They played a venue called the Bread Shed, and they've not been playing for a really long time, and they've just sort of come back and started gigging again, so I'm very much looking forward to catching them at some point. But unfortunately, they clashed with Haste, and I had to be there.
You had to be at Haste. You had to be there. Before Haste, we saw Misfortune Cookie, so that was nice. That's people from Bear Trade with a lovely new, different singer.
It's Bear Trade with a different singer, and it's fucking brilliant. And live, I've actually, Misfortune Cookie are one of those bands who I've sort of listened to every now and again online, just like caught songs here and there, but I've never bought any of their albums or anything. I've never actually sat down and listened to them, but I used to love Bear Trade. There's no reason for that whatsoever. It's not like, I just don't know. I don't know why I've not.
It's just never happened.
But I haven't. And seeing them live, they've just got such beautiful songs.
Beautiful thing,
They absolutely packed out the Zombie Shack as well.
Yeah, it was
fucking rammed.
It was
people,
rammed.
which was great. I should say at this point, having more or less not drunk alcohol all year.
Yeah.
The start of Misfortune Cookie was when I decided to start drinking in preparation for the Haste set. I wasn't planning on doing it. I'm not sure that I fully don't regret the weekend that I then had. It all sort of went downhill from that point onwards. But yeah, definitely then my memory becomes less clear.
It must have 100% gone downhill, because then you not because then you played. That's awful.
I forgot everything.
Then Haste play whoop whoop to the Zombie Shack, and that was very, very, very good. You had a wall of fun instead of a wall of death, which made me happy.
We always have a wall of fun nowadays.
Have a wall of fun.
I'm getting a bit bored of the wall of fun. I think I'm going to cut it.
You're going to cut it?
But yeah, no, I never really remember our set, and that's not necessarily because of alcohol. I just don't really remember. It's just whatever it is. But I think it went well. I don't know.
Good boys, good set.
I think we're happy we got some good feedback.
Yeah. And then I've got written down on my little Clash Finder that the next band we went to see was Melt Banana. So we really did a bad job of seeing any bands this day.
So I had to sit on the merch stand. There was an element of actually being in a band on this day. So I think that's probably really what happened. And also, I know this for a fact. To see what I do clearly remember, it took a good 2 hours before I stopped sweating my bollocks off.
Oh God, you were wet. You were slick.
So
like a little seal.
I think we went and sat in the park for a while.
Oh yeah, while steam came off of you, I remember that.
I will say we used the park a bit more this year than we did the first time we went, or than I did the times that I've gone before. There's a park, don't know what it's called, no idea at all, but it's slap bang in the middle of the all the venues and stuff. And obviously it's a nice cheap way to go, and now I'm a big drinker again. Yeah. Good place you can go to the Tesco's on the way, or the corner shop. Get some crisps, get some nice strong beers, sit in the park, cool off if you've just run around like a monkey for half an hour and almost killed yourself because you're 41 years old and you shouldn't be doing it anymore. So I think we just sat in the park. Yeah. And like I say, we did that a few times, and it was nice. The weather was beautiful.
Beautiful weather it was fun.
So, I mean, that's, if you've not been to Manchester Punk Festival before, a lot of the punks go to the park. Sort of feels like being a teenager again, even though none of us are teenagers. I don't think anyone in that park was a teenager. Oh. It was mostly people in their 30s and 40s.
Yep.
But
furiously
really
trying to
nice.
save their money drinking gin and tonics in a can.
It's really nice just sitting around the park, bumping into your
lovely.
mates, people walking through, they get a bit of a way.
Getting a bit of crisps. Oh, it was a beautiful thing. The perfect way to prepare for going to see Melt Banana. Literally melt your face off.
Melt Banana were absolutely unbelievably
Fucking
brilliant.
insane.
Yeah.
Fucking insane. For two people to have made such an amazing amount of noise. It was incredible.
I still don't quite understand what their setup is, but nor
No
do I
idea.
have to, or nor do I want to particularly.
No.
But it's basically someone with a guitar and then someone who sings and has what appears to be a mobile phone.
Well, it looks like a Nintendo 64 or something.
Yeah. And when she
Not 64.
waves it, it seems to change the drum beat, which is
And
obviously like programmed.
Yeah,
and I think that
there's
there's
buttons on it.
some degree of pressing of the buttons. It's really difficult to work out exactly what's going on, but that just makes it even better.
You're just
Because
fascinated.
it's obviously extremely complex. What they're doing is extremely complex.
Yeah.
And, they're absolute pros and absolutely amazing. So it rolls extremely well, but like...
Fucking brilliant.
Brilliant. But as a result of going to see Melt Banana, we didn't see Apologies I Have None, which was one of the bands I would have really liked to have seen this weekend, because they don't play a great deal either. And I haven't seen them
And
for
they're
absolutely
very
years.
good.
And they're wonderful. We used to see them a lot when we lived in London. We've seen them all over basically all over South East London. I don't
And
think we've
in
ever seen-
Belgium.
Oh, and in Belgium.
We were... I'm not going to say party poopers. I'm going to say acted our age and went home after the headliners.
Well, I
because
wish we hadn't. And here's why I wish we hadn't.
Because I was struggling between the two after parties and we settled for none.
No, you're missing why I wish we hadn't. Why I
Oh.
wish we hadn't is that what we did was, us and a couple of our friends went back to the house that we were staying in. We got some lovely grub. And again, keeping in mind, Dave hasn't been drinking for a while.
Yeah.
Dave's had a few drinks.
Held yourself over the creamy elephant.
Yes, and that won't make sense to anyone, so let me explain it in actual words. So we had a sofa. For some reason, I decided to climb over it. As I climbed over it, there wasn't quite
It
as much
bucked
weight
you.
as I thought that there was. I was carrying a plate that had 4 different dishes from the Chinese up the road on it, like a waiter.
Like
and
a waiter.
The entire thing collapsed.
It didn't collapse, it bucked you. You
it-
stood on the back and it flipped you up.
Yeah, well, yeah. And I smashed my foot into an amp and bruised the entire bottom side of my foot, which is not the thing that you want to do when you've got 2 days of walking and standing to be done.
Yes.
It managed to create blood from somewhere, even though it wasn't cut. It was one of those like trauma
Impact like splits
blood
of skin.
things. And so I was in great discomfort for the rest of the weekend, which
But
is why...
We had a giggle.
You laughed a lot. Oh, but the most important thing of that is that everything on the plate
Stayed
on the plate.
Thank God, because that was my Chinese. Fuck, there would have been hell to pay.
I still don't know how I did it.
I really don't know.
I literally ended up on my back. I went from a sofa to behind the sofa with the sofa underneath me onto my back.
You must have done a forward flip. No,
No, I just
Dunno.
felt no.
you just fell. Just fell down.
But I'm ever going to be impressed. I wish someone could have got that on camera. I mean, I don't, because I would have obviously looked like a piece of shit. But you would have all been impressed if you'd seen me
I don't know. I don't know.
hold this
I don't
plate
know.
of food aloft and save Siobhan's Chinese.
I'm glad you did, because it was very, very
That's
nice.
true love.
Very, very nice.
That's true love, Siobhan.
True love.
I sacrificed my own foot so that your Chinese would be good to eat the next day cold.
Oh, and the next day. Oh, so good. So good. Thank you very much for almost harming yourself forever for it. Thank you. We did end up missing quite a few of the after parties, though. Loads of good bands played that night. I think Bruise Control did. I think Monolithian did.
Monolithian did. Who
But-
we will be playing later.
Whoop, whoop.
And who we saw at Entomb Festival and are absolutely fucking brilliant.
Insane. Again.
Sorry, we can't keep coming over Simon's. but Simon, who had done the CBM podcast, then later on played with Monolithian. It's just a 2-piece band.
Again,
with,
another 2-piece with a
yeah.
load of fucking...
Shannon from Bobby Funk
sound.
plays the drums. They sound absolutely fucking massive.
Yeah.
And they're brilliant. But you'll find that out in a bit.
Yes. So, moving on to day 2, we did see quite a few bands this day, so hopefully we'll cover a fair range of people. I'm going to just group 3 together at the beginning and we can see what we say. We've got Darko, which we saw at the Union, Onsind, which we saw at Gorilla, and then we stayed and watched Bobby Funk a little bit later at Gorilla. I'm trying to think how I felt about any of that. I think Darko,
Well,
I was probably still quite hungover.
I felt hungover and I had a bruised foot.
Yeah, hungover, bruised foot. Darko, very melodic, very loud, very good.
Darko have changed singer since the last time we saw them.
Yes, they do have a very...
So Dead Anyways, my old band used to play with Darko loads and loads.
No, it wasn't old.
And there was a period where we both would have seen them probably on average once a month.
Yeah, really did see them a lot.
Probably about right. And we haven't seen them for absolutely ages.
Yeah.
And then we went over to Onsind, who were playing at Gorilla, which is the second biggest venue.
Yeah.
But in comparison to the Union, it's considerably smaller. I would say the Union never... It's always full. Like, don't get me wrong.
But there's always a bit of space.
There was a lot of people there for them, but it's massive.
Yeah.
It's like massive.
Huge.
But when we got to Gorilla to watch Onsind, there was a queue to get in.
400 people long, maybe?
Guess so.
Whatever the capacity is.
I think 400 was the capacity, and we managed to get in, but there was people behind us. I don't
Just.
know if everybody did, but it was fucking rammed.
Yeah.
Onsind also don't play a great deal anymore. I'm sure everyone knows this, but Onsind started as an acoustic project between two people that went on to be in Martha, who became obviously much better known, and have now sort of swelled to be a bit of a group.
Yeah.
Including the wonderful singer from Just Blankets, who we put on in Hastings once.
Yeah.
Many
long
years
time
ago now. I don't
Very
think they're going anymore. But Just Blankets, if you get the chance to listen to them, I think they only released 1 7-inch, maybe a cassette.
Bit of
They're
beauty.
fucking brilliant. Such a good band.
Beauty.
And Onsind were
Delightful.
absolutely brilliant.
A lovely delight.
I mean, we're going to go on more about them when we get to Martha later, but I just thought they were incredible. I will say that Gorilla was incredibly packed with people.
Yeah, it was...
I think that was my first experience since coming back from COVID. I was going to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not that I
since
had
the,
COVID. Coming back from pandemic and
like
stuff.
Normality.
That I was in a room that was that packed.
I hated it. I'm not going to lie, I'm not very good at that. And I've never been bad at that, I don't think. But
No.
Gorilla was the closest. I've never had a panic attack to my knowledge, but that was the closest to it. So, poor Gorilla, it did kind of go down in my, if I could avoid going there, I did try. But we did go back pretty much immediately afterwards to go watch Bobby Funk, which was incredibly well worth it.
I think Bobby Funk wasn't quite as packed, but if it was packed, it was really busy. But it wasn't as... I think Onsind was literally at capacity.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
And I think as well, one of the bad things about it was that because we've been cocked, basically, we turned up 10 minutes before and thought we could just walk in.
Yeah.
And then we joined a massive queue. So we actually missed the first 10 minutes. So as a result of that, we were probably some of the last people that actually got in. So we were like squeezed in by the door.
Yeah.
And I think that by default, if you're by the door, it means that there's a continuous stream of people just walking past you or through you or trying to get around you and you're always in somebody's way.
Yeah.
And I'm this is totally a thing on me. Like, that's something that you should... If you've been to a lot of gigs... I've been going to gigs for decades, but I'm always really uncomfortable about that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never very good at... I try and get out of people's ways, and I'm just really aware of the space that I take up in that situation.
And then you do this thing where you move because you think someone's walking past you, and then they basically stand in the space you just moved from, and then you're like, "Oh, cool, you're now in my armpit. Cool, we're now friends."
I got turned around so that I was facing the back by doing that, because I did that to let someone in. They stood right in front of my chest, so I couldn't turn back towards the stage, and then someone else appeared from the front.
Yeah.
And so I tried to move for them, and I was just looking at the back. And I was like, and now I can't turn around, because if I turn around, I'm just like feeling up about 10 people.
And then they'll be like,
as I walk
what are
round.
you doing? And you're like, you came at me. But anyway, going back, Bobby Funk, fucking brilliant.
Bobby Funk,
absolutely amazing.
Always going to be one of the bands of any weekend. Yeah, I imagine.
The first time I ever saw them was that MPF in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
They played Zombie Shack, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? This is amazing!" And it was about like 2 p.m. or something.
Yeah.
And it was just like mind blown. And ever since then, never been a bad time. Can never have a bad time watching Bobby Funk. And then after Bobby Funk, we rushed over to the Zombie Shack to watch Disaster Forecast, who we've played on this podcast in the past.
Couple of times, I believe.
Yes, and they are very vocally fans of ours, so thank you very much. That's really kind. And yeah, they were banging. Did a very good job in the Zombie Shack, and they went down a treat.
They were fucking banging.
Yeah.
Disaster Forecast are kind of like a skate punk. Well, not kind of like a skate punk. Absolutely a skate punk type of thing. I think even their newest EP is a mock of Propaganda's EP. I mean, that's how much of it, like old stuff as well. So so they're absolutely doing that. 90s sound, but definitely more like modern sounding. And if you
Very
listen to this
good.
podcast, you will have listened to them.
Exactly. Very, very, very good. Very good to see them. And then, this kind of then turns into my favourite little moment of the entire weekend, because we went to see Martha, Oi Polloi, Christmas, and Electric Press, all in one fell swoop. And it was fucking brilliant.
It
so
was.
let's start with Martha.
Well, Martha, we're going to play a little bit later on. I'm sure most people know Martha. If you don't, you really must.
You really must.
Martha are like an indie punk band from Durham. Been going for a while. Like I say, you must know them.
Yes, that was what they're going to get.
They're
Sorry,
very-
I don't know why I'm describing them. You must know them.
They're very popular. And Martha on record are amazing. Their songs are beautiful. Their lyrics are fucking incredible.
Yeah.
They don't put a foot wrong. But live,
Perfection.
it really is perfection.
It
We
really
saw them before, not that long before COVID and everything, when they played the Garage in London.
Yeah.
And it had sold out, which seemed a bit random at the time. It was kind of like, oh, what? Martha got really big. How did
Yeah.
they sell this out? And they were about to play. I don't know if it ever happened, because I think it might have been in the pandemic, but I'm not really sure. They were going to play an even bigger venue in London, and they were going to headline, and I think that had sold out as well. And I was like, fuck, are Martha like getting big? And I'd heard that they might be getting played on the radio a little bit and this sort of stuff, and like they were moving, going somewhere. And then of course, like COVID fucked it all up. But when we saw them at the Garage in London, which was obviously with a crowd of people that all knew every word to every song, and that sort of stuff, like it really was like. It was
they write anthems.
Yeah, it's the only thing I can probably compare it to in modern times is probably someone like Iron Chic.
Yeah.
They bring out a similar thing in their audience and also are as good. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And at MPF, obviously, I'm sure there was a lot of people there that didn't know every word to every song. But,
Who are they? No.
there are loads of people. But still, just live, they just
and it's just
brilliant. Brilliant.
I'm not really an indie punk person always. Sometimes things can err on the side of too twee or too singing about a situation can only be so interesting sometimes.
Well, we'll get to that on our Sunday because we almost just watched exclusively in.
I know, but Martha do a thing so well in the same way as Iron Chic. Iron Chic do this one song and one style of thing just so incredibly well that you will never tire of hearing that stuff. And Martha do the same thing. Like even reading their lyrics, sometimes I think, am I going to enjoy this? And then you hear it and you're like, this is perfection.
Yeah.
This is actually so clever and so perfect, and erring on the side of twee, erring on the side of romantic and lovely, but it's just beautiful. I love it so much. Favourite top 5 bands. I can't say a favourite.
Definitely my favourite band of the festival.
Yeah,
definitely.
I want to say it, but I want to. I enjoyed everything.
And probably my second favourite band of the festival was Next.
Yeah, Oi Polloi at the Bread Shed, who I must say, and it is awful, I only knew by name and reputation.
You didn't really want to come and see them, actually.
Well, I wasn't
That's the only
really,
band where
I
we sort of said,
know.
oh, maybe I'll go somewhere and you
Well,
won't.
because I think, I can't remember who else was playing, maybe
Svalbard,
it's Svalbard, who I knew very well that I wanted to,
In
would have
fact,
liked,
I know
but
what-
they were at Gorilla.
Yeah, that's the only reason that you go and see Oi Polloi.
I was like, I'm not going back in that fucking Gorilla place if I can help it, so I'll come to Oi Polloi, and forgive me, Oi Polloi, I don't know what I thought was going to happen or what you were going to be like, but you were amazing. Absolutely amazing. You actually knew who they were, so.
Well, I have history with Oi Polloi.
Oh, it sounds like you have beef. You don't have beef, you have history.
No, I have this insane thing with Oi Polloi where I've never actually seen them live.
Yeah.
And you're going to scoff when I say this, but this is genuine. The first punk 7-inch I ever bought through the post. That's a fact.
Genuine fact this time.
Is
because everything's always the first.
No, there's
fucking-
lots of different firsts, but this is the first. I'm being specific. The
Okay.
first 7-inch that I bought through the post from like a punk distro, and I think I was 13, maybe.
Aww.
And
a wee nipper.
It was Oi Polloi. It might have been 14. It was Oi Polloi, the Guilty 7-inch.
All right.
And I remember the first song, the song Guilty, which is great, cracker. They didn't play it, unfortunately. But
you can't play everything.
No, of course. And I'm sure it was just to them. It's just probably an also-ran song that they've forgotten about.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily remember the 7-inch that well. And it was like a bit much for me at the time. Because I was listening to like Terrorvision and the Wild Hearts, and then I bought an Oi Polloi 7-inch.
Like,
so it was a bit sort of like, whoa. But truly, and I don't want to romanticise this too much, but this is absolutely true. In the Guilty 7-inch, there is like a booklet. I think there's probably one of these in all Oi Polloi releases. There's a booklet and it talks about veganism, it talks about feminism, it talks about loads of stuff about animal rights. I think it's mostly about animal rights, I can't really remember. But there's all different stuff in there. And and I think if I remember rightly, there was like little leaflets about like different like movements. I think
Yeah.
there might have been a crime thing in there. I can't really remember. There was all these different things, and it blew my mind. It was the first time I'd heard about any of these.
You're a
fucking
changed
ideas.
man because.
Well,
of
no,
it.
but it was like the first step.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I therefore went vegan. I didn't go vegan until I was 17 or 18 or whatever.
But it was your first
But it was like the
teetering
first
into the
bit where I
world.
was sort of like, whoa, what the fuck is this world that I've stepped into?
Yeah. And at
And so
14,
they-
that's
so-
pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, no,
Like,
exactly. I was
imagine.
really young. It really blew my mind. I mean, it was either that or fucking Britpop. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it was genuinely really, really important. I got that, and then the other thing in the same package was a live crash tape.
Fuck.
And I put a live crash tape on, and it just sounded like fucking
What is
distorted
this?
nothing. I mean, I don't think it was very well recorded, but it definitely, I wasn't ready for that. I don't think I ever listened to that. But yeah, so as a result of that, Oi Polloi have always had this place in my heart, and I've bought over the years. I've like got their albums here and there, but I can't say I've necessarily followed them all that closely. But like I say, for some reason, I've never seen them live. We tried to book them for What's It Called Fest one year, I think, or maybe we didn't, but I think I suggested them for What's It Called Fest. They've played in London loads of times. They're one of those
Yeah.
bands that every time they used to play in London, I think, I'll just go next time they'll play again.
Yeah.
Like it would be at a festival, and I think that's not my sort of thing. I won't go to that festival. I'll wait till they play their own.
Is T Chances still there? 'Cause it
No,
would have
but
been
they
there,
did.
that
But
sort
they
of thing,
did.
wasn't it?
Yeah, they did play T Chances, and so there was just like loads of opportunity, but just for some reason anyway.
Yeah.
I've never seen Oi Polloi.
But you finally did.
I finally did, just
at this
after
year's
seeing
MPF.
Martha and getting all my emotions all stirred up.
And then you got
Then
to
I
see
had to
Oi
go and see
Polloi.
Oi Polloi, and I was literally I don't remember because I was quite drunk by that point. But,
But you were very smiling, very happy.
and they were fucking
brilliant.
brilliant.
So good.
They were fucking brilliant.
They were fucking
Like really,
amazing.
really amazing.
My mind just turned onto it now. Now I know.
And then it just didn't get any worse, did it? The energy level didn't go anywhere. So then we went over to Zombie Shack, and we saw Christmas, who we just played.
They were just so fucking brilliant. He kept handing the mic out to sing. I don't know a single fucking word. And I said something. Everyone did. Everyone got to go. It was amazing. It was so good. Prior to Christmas playing, I think there was like a Madonna. There was some kind of... Everyone was singing and dancing to Madonna. I've been told this because we were very drunk, and everyone the next day was like, oh my God, you and Dave dancing to Madonna. It was so brilliant. I'm like, I don't remember any of this.
No, I
but
don't
apparently there was a lovely Madonna... scenario prior to Christmas,
I
which
mean-
got us rowdy because then when Christmas came on, it was just rowdy.
I mean, I can't remember that, but I
Oh,
can
you crowd
imagine.
surfed?
I can imagine that was for Christmas, but
Yeah.
I can imagine that after experiencing Martha and Oi Polloi and being just hitting because at Christmas I was definitely at peak.
Yeah.
I definitely hit my peak
Yeah.
at Christmas,
Yeah.
which is very appropriate. You should always hit your peak at Christmas.
Right.
And I'm not surprised if I heard Madonna, I would have gone off.
Oh, you went off.
No doubt.
You went off. I think
No question.
everyone went off, and I think at some point you were in the middle going off in the most.
What the fuck?
I
I
don't,
don't think I did that. I wasn't that drunk. No, yeah, and then Christmas were just fucking perfection. They were so
That's
good.
so good.
And like, yeah,
You
yes,
did your
I
little
did.
crowd surf.
I did a crowd surf.
It was amazing. I was talking to some woman at the front, and I don't know who she was, and she went, "Oh, love, just mind, there's someone there." And I turned around, it was literally your undercarriage coming at my face. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And then you just went the other way, and you were just on your back like a little turtle.
Oh, there you go.
It was
Yeah.
very, very lovely.
Yes. So that was wonderful. I think I was a bit worn out. I think Electric Press, who were fucking brilliant,
They were
by the
so
way.
good.
But I definitely remember taking it. I think I'd
I think
I'd
we
sweated
tapped out,
I'd sweated
yeah.
out some of my alcohol, and I think I went to stand at the back of the room.
Oh, really?
Well, not the back of the room, but not in the. I definitely didn't crowd.
You did do
surf.
another crowd surf.
Um,
The guitarist did in Electric Press.
yeah,
Got the guitar nearly stuck in the rigging at the top.
in the ruggin.
And the rigging at the thing you tried to hang off of, I think, and he pulled it down. The fishing net that was on the top.
Vision there. I thought I was going to be able to swing on it, but it turned out as soon as I touched it, it just started falling off the roof.
Yeah,
So
no, you could-
if any representative of Zombie Shack is listening to this, I apologise. Please don't send me any bills.
But Electric Press, fucking banging. We've played them on here before as well, and just, yeah, so good. But we did tap out and go home. I can't remember who the after parties were that day. Was it Toki Horror and all that?
It was Gernal Gaddafi and Dad and Toki Horror,
I
which is
imagine that was
what most of the
fucking
people
chaos.
that we knew went to see.
I think there was some crowd surfing in the crowd on the stage whilst Toki Horror were playing.
Ah.
So I think there was just a crowd, I don't know, they all went on the stage and it was just fucking mad. I've seen videos. It looked insane. One day, we'll see all that.
And we missed Oasis, who play every year. But we have seen Oasis before, and it was great fun because the Oasis set that we saw
They didn't play anything?
They didn't play anything because all of their equipment went wrong, and there was just a massive sing-along of...
Matt was led it.
Yeah, Don't Look Back in Anger or something?
No, Wonderwall.
And it was like, I'm not an Oasis man
But it was
at all, moment. But there was a wonderful moment where there was just a room packed full of punks singing Wonderwall.
Yeah.
It was quite beautiful.
After waiting 20 minutes for something to happen.
Yeah.
But bless, I'm glad that happened, because I guess it... Does it happen every year?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, good. So then, yeah, Saturday was brilliant, and Sunday...
I didn't break any more feet or anything on the way. We just got home.
Thank God.
Siobhan ate some of her Chinese, which I'd saved the night before.
I know, like a superhero.
Like a superhero.
Like a massive
So it was worth it. It was worth it to walk around on a massive bruise for an entire day.
Yeah, to make sure
And crowd surf.
Got me spicy noodles in bed. It was lovely. Sunday started with us going to Yes, which was this tiny little bar that had like a basement in the bottom. Mm-hmm. And at the top, you got to eat loads of yummy food. And then you go downstairs and you get to hear loads of lovely music. And we got to see Nana, who runs a Cowley Club in Brighton, just down the road. And
I don't think she runs Cowley Club. It's a very much a collective, so no one manages.
Oh yeah, no one manages it. Sorry, Nana. Sorry, that's very, very anti what you do.
I think Nana puts on a lot of the gigs.
That's it. Let's go with that. Sorry, Nana. But
well, no, she does. Let's not go with that. She does do that.
But she was amazing as always. No foot wrong there. It
was lovely, actually. I wasn't necessarily in the place for acoustic music very much, and we don't often go and watch acoustic music live really anymore.
No.
But obviously we wanted to go and see Nana just to support her really, and her set was brilliant.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Yeah.
She's songwriting wise and all that stuff. She's absolutely brilliant, but also she's just such a brilliant personality, if that's the right word, on stage.
Storyteller.
She's really funny and warm and just brilliant.
Yeah, really natural at it. Like a very good, like a little bit of storytelling and a very good way of kind of flicking through her lyrics and be like, oh, should I do this? Oh, should I do that? And it's just very endearing. Loved it. And then we headed over to Gorilla to see Signals Midwest and then Ship Present. Nice little duo of quite upbeat fest-style music.
Yeah, very much, yeah. Signals Midwest are a band who I've been listening to quite a lot recently for some reason. I think I just stumbled across them. And they were probably the one band of the lot that I was like, I have to see this band.
Yeah, you were like that.
Yeah, I really, really like it. Partly because obviously there wouldn't be another opportunity probably.
Yeah, true. They've come along our way.
It's not easy. I loved them.
They were really good, really happy.
Again, happy but also quite anthemic. And they write really beautiful songs. They're not necessarily... They're very simple songs, and they don't necessarily have anything that you would be like, oh, there's this one bit where this thing... Like, it all feels a bit... It's all quite underplayed. But overall, there's something really beautiful about it. All of their songs are quite similar.
Yeah.
But whatever they do it really well. And I can't quite pinpoint exactly what it is they do, if that makes any sense.
And also, I think it's carried off by their obviously just ridiculously humble, polite, smiley, lovely. The singer did a lot of coming away from the microphone and kind of just singing out to the ceiling sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of pure joy. And it was very, very lovely.
And then Ship Present I don't think have played very much.
No.
We haven't seen them for years. That's another band who we used to see quite a lot.
Yeah. I think the singer moved to Australia, so I don't know if that kind of... I don't know if that's what paused it all. But yeah,
I'm sure COVID probably has something to do with it
and then COVID doesn't
help.
Yeah. So yeah, we were like, must go see Ship Present because it's been so long. And yep, joy as always. Yeah,
Ship Present are on Specialist Object Records and used to be members of Great Cynics, who are another brilliant band, who I don't think are going anymore. And they said at the end of their set, we're now going to go and have a conversation and see if we're going to do this again, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was worded quite in that way, but it sounded a little bit like we weren't really sure what we were doing. We're now going to go and see if this works or not.
Did that work for everyone? So, like that?
So it might well be that we don't get... Well, I'm glad we saw them.
Yeah.
They might not...
But hopefully they had a lovely time.
Yeah.
Again.
It was certainly really good.
Nice little segue from Specialist Subject Records. The next person we went to see was All the Way Lou.
Yes.
I'm glad. Did that work?
Yes.
Thank God. So, All the Way Lou is a band that has Lou, who was originally... Had been in loads of bands, but we know from Caves mostly. Mm-hmm. And she has come back, put a little band together, and now does All the Way Lou. And it was very lovely. Anthemic songs, just like Caves.
Yep.
In that kind of vein. But in Yes, which was that tiny little basement.
Yeah, I feel bad because, in a way, we actually talked about All the Way Lou on the podcast a while ago because she had just released her first song.
Yeah.
No, we were going to play her first song. I know exactly what happened because I felt bad about it because I remembered. We talked about it as a news segment.
Yeah.
And then we said, I'm going to ask her if we can play this song on the next episode of the podcast. And we'd made a joke, as I often do, about how if we don't play her on the next podcast, then it's because she's ignored my message. And I never messaged her, and we never mentioned it again. I don't think that anyone's paying enough attention to have thought to themselves, oh, that all away Lou, she's not got back to him. Poor Dave, sending out his messages on Facebook. But none of that actually ended up happening. We never played. But that one song we listened to loads.
Yeah.
And it was great. But when we went to see her, I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know that the album had come out. I hadn't listened to it at all. So they didn't play any Cave stuff or anything. So so I recognised that one song, and that was all. But it was great. And yeah, it was a weird little venue to have a full band in. It was great. It was brilliant.
It was lovely. Teeny tiny.
But I don't know. When we saw Nana there, I just sort of thought, oh, this is like the acoustic stage. And so I figured she'd be playing acoustic, but not at all.
Full band, including Mikey Erg on the drums, who then ran over to Breadshed to do a one-man electric guitar set of his own.
Yeah.
And that was really lovely. I love her. I don't know. I just love it.
Yeah.
It reminded me of being at Fest that one time.
Well, we saw Mikey Erg at Fest. That was the last time we saw him do it.
Yeah, the only time I've ever seen Mikey Erg ever.
6 years ago or something. The one Fest that we went to, and he played...
8 years ago?
8 years ago.
8 years ago.
And he played acoustic there, and then played acoustic again here.
Yeah.
He was replacing someone else. The Chisel, I think, had pulled out. So there was quite a lot of that, like people pulling out. And then there was a few bands who ended up playing like 2 sets.
Yeah.
Which was obviously good. I should just say, actually, before we just move on, that one band that we did unfortunately miss, because we were watching Ship Present, was the Sewer Cats. Sewer Cats have just released their new album. We've played them on this podcast a number of times before. They are one of our favourite bands in the whole UK DIY punk scene, but we made a decision
to go see Ship
and see a band that we didn't think we would be able to see again.
Yeah.
And we will be seeing the Sewer Cats very soon because they are coming to Hastings.
Yes, they are.
And hopefully you will all come too.
Yes, June, come. So we stayed at the Breadshed after watching Mikey Erg, and we watched Angst, who were fucking amazing. You will know that because we played their song at the beginning of this podcast. And just fucking awesome. It was heavy as fuck.
Yeah, really heavy as fuck. It was a very interesting segue to go from Mikey Erg and his little guitar to Angst, who are a very interesting setup, actually. Yeah. They haven't got a bass player, they've got 2 guitarists, and they've got an incredible drummer. Insane drummer, who's
got extraordinarily good posture.
No, well, I didn't necessarily.
He was sat very upright and was very, very casually playing his drums.
I think that just means he's got good technique.
I think he's very good.
But I'm pretty sure that the drummer not only was playing incredible drums, but was also somewhat in control of like some synth elements.
Yeah, there was some like ooh.
And I think there was and maybe the bass was synth. I'm not quite sure. I couldn't quite work out what was going on sonically. But they blew me away. I'd never heard them before, and I don't think you'd heard them before.
No, I didn't know what to expect. I just knew that they were heavy, and that some of our friends were tossing up who to see, because there was so many clashes at that point that people were struggling as to where to go, and lots of people kept saying Angst. So I was like, cool, I'm good to go see them. And they blew my fucking face off. They were so good. So good.
And the big band that we missed that were going on at that time was Incisions, who we've played on this podcast before, and who Haster plays a lot of gigs with and stuff, and they're wonderful people and a brilliant band. And under any other circumstance I would have
and I heard they played like an incredible set. We've missed something, but we'll get to see them again, I'm sure. So then we popped over to the Union before Jeff Rosenstock came on, who was the big headliner that day. We saw Fresh, who we've seen a few times.
Yeah, Fresh played What's It Called Fest. Oh, I don't know how many years ago now with COVID. It's all got confused.
The
maybe
last time
3 years
ago,
Crowley's, 4 years ago or something. I'm not really sure. Yeah. And they were absolutely brilliant. They blew a lot of people away, actually, when they came and played What's It Called Fest. I feel like they've probably gone the upper level in a way since then.
I think they've gotten... They've definitely become big, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they brought the Twee Indie Joy, which pumped everyone up ready for Jeff Rosenstock.
And Jeff Rosenstock should have been a 5-piece band, but 2 of them got COVID, so it was a 3-piece band. I think that's right, which I take my hat off to him for not just pulling out, to be honest. And obviously, they come along the way. They were on a UK tour. Yeah. And Jeff Rosenstock is another one. I know, like that, the newest album, which everyone absolutely loves and goes on about loads, I've never actually listened to.
Oh, really?
I've listened to a lot. I know a lot of the songs off of it, but I know some of his earlier stuff. I used to love Bomb the Music Industry, which was just him, really, but it was a band.
Yeah.
And yeah, live, he was brilliant.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, I knew one song. He played it at the end, so I was glad of that. but just pure joy again. It was just watching, it's so nice to be in a crowd full of people who really love it. Again, it's a bit Iron Cheeky, because whilst I didn't know the words, I do like the music he makes. I like the song that he does and the few songs that he does that are that kind of style. You get a vibe of that. But everyone else just singing along, going mental, is just, it is infectious. It's very lovely to be around, especially when it just seems like the most positive, lovely music ever. But then we went over to something that doesn't sound like joy at all, but it is joy. It's a lot of joy, but it's like the opposite of Jeff Rosenstock, and that is Corrupt Vision.
Yeah, Corrupt Vision, we've played on this podcast before.
Fuck my fucking fuck.
They really, really knocked it out of the park. Corrupt Vision, we've played on this podcast before, and Toxic What's It co-released their last album. And Tommy, who is the singer, puts out an awful lot of stuff. He runs a record label called No Time, and they put out a lot of UK DIY punk bands and DIY punk bands from all over the world on cassette. And so he's released...
he's the cassettesman!
Yeah, he's released some Haste cassettes and a lot of the TNS bands and stuff.
Yeah.
And the album's fucking great. I mean, I'm not surprised that they were really good.
Yeah.
And to call them ska would be completely inappropriate.
No,
I mean, I don't
like...
know. I don't want to, I don't want to take words out of their mouth, because I feel like whenever I see them describe themselves or any description of them, it always kind of says like crack rock steady ska type of thing.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like so much more raging than that. And there are ska elements to it, unquestionably.
There's a bit of ska, but then
they just ripped everybody's face off.
It's fucking insane. Like, I don't know what you call music that hard and like face melty.
Yeah.
That then goes a little bit scary and then
Yeah.
It was so good. So good.
Corrupt Vision, as we speak, are on a UK tour with Rash Decision. It looks like the UK tour, they went from Manchester, that was their first gig, although Rash didn't play, and then they met up with Rash Decision. A few things went wrong, they couldn't find a driver, but it all came to pass. They played a bunch of gigs, which all appeared, from what I've seen and heard, to have gone really well.
Yeah.
They were due to play in Hastings the day after we're recording this podcast, but which will be like a week after you hear it.
Yeah, it will have already been.
At the moment, we don't know exactly what's happening, but I'm fairly sure that a couple of them have got COVID, and I'm fairly sure that gig isn't going to end up going ahead.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have dropped out of that gig. So I was looking forward to seeing Corrupt Vision again in Hastings and hanging out with them and stuff.
Yeah.
And doesn't look like, at this precise second in time, I can't really say.
Which is weird, because by the time you hear this, it will have already transpired whether it happened or not.
Yeah.
But it looks like it didn't.
Looks like it's not going to happen. So that's really sad. If that's true, they missed three of the dates off this tour, so at least they've got to do some of it.
Yeah.
But that really fucking sucks. That's really shit.
It was their first time out of leaving the US to play any gigs, I think.
And they had an absolute nightmare getting here as well. I think they had planes cancelled and
I think the singer got here, and then like everyone else had to go like France to Amsterdam to London. It took like 2 days.
Which is an amazing amount of effort. I think particularly at the moment where, quite a lot of bands did end up pulling out of Manchester Punk Festival.
Yeah.
And I think that since the end of COVID, a lot of bands, more bands than I've ever known. Right, let me be careful about how I word this.
Air it out.
I want to say that I'm not talking about any specific band, any specific gig, any specific festival. I'm not really. This isn't aimed at anybody whatsoever.
It's just an observation.
But just an observation that I've noticed, and that I would think that most people listening to this have probably noticed, is that since COVID and gigs getting back to normal, there has been a massive amount of bands pulling out of gigs. Right?
At last minute.
Sometimes, and sometimes in advance.
Yeah.
And obviously, sometimes that's because somebody got COVID.
Yeah.
And that just is what it is.
That is what it is.
I am not in any way saying anything negative about anybody pulling out of a gig. Or for sickness generally.
Yeah.
But I think that what's happened, possibly... And I'm not really sorry, I'm going off on one now. I'm not really talking about Manchester.
Old man shouts at the sky.
No, but, and again, I'm not talking about any specific bands, but there is... I've experienced from putting gigs on myself. I've seen at Manchester Punk Fest, and I've seen it across everywhere.
Yeah.
Every gig, that there's bands that have been pulling out for reasons that have nothing to do with COVID. Now, again, sometimes that's completely understandable. I'm not having a go at anybody.
Yeah.
But it does seem like we've possibly normalised a little bit, the idea that if a band says that they're going to play somewhere, that they don't really have to if they don't want to.
I hear what you're saying.
And I don't think anyone's thinking in those terms, but I do think that we've normalised the fact that a band who's due to play a gig might actually not be playing it. And I think as a result of that, it allows possibly... I don't even know. Allow isn't the right word. I think that it's just our mindsets might have changed a bit. We've gone through... Like, I've been playing and going to gigs for a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
And, like, in that time, I honestly can't think of that many... I mean, I'm minimising it in a lot of ways, but I can't think of that many gigs where people have pulled out.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not a good thing. So, like, I know that I've played gigs where I'm sick as fuck.
Yeah.
And I've dragged myself to the gig because it's like, I'm not playing this gig. And I've probably gone into that gig and given loads of people flu.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, I'm not proud. You know, I'm not saying it's great. But you should always play a gig.
But it's a bit like that kind of like... We've both worked as nurses, and you kind of like, if you know you're booked to go in, you go in because people are depending on you.
Yeah.
If you don't go in, it fucks someone's day up, and it becomes a difficult situation that you don't even fathom that you want to put someone in that situation. And it's the same with booking a gig. If you book a gig, you're going to that gig.
Yeah.
Unless something actually happens, which means you can't get there. Like if transport goes wrong on the way there, or actual illness that stops you getting there.
Yeah.
You just think, I'm going to go. You don't think it's cancelling, or it doesn't enter your brain, does it?
Yeah. And I suppose I just think that maybe we all need to think a little bit about that. If you're not sure if you're going to be able to play a gig, don't accept it.
Yeah.
And the trouble is,
I
don't want. I've got all of these.
Act like you want to go.
I've got loads. I've got loads of different examples, but I don't want to sit here and list them all off.
No.
Of like relatively outrageous reasons for not playing a gig.
Yeah.
Both at the last minute and like a little bit in advance.
Yeah.
But I don't want to reel them off because then it's going to be like the people or whatever. So I really want to be clear. Like, it's not just COVID that will stop someone playing a gig, and that's fine, right? Sometimes something will happen and you won't be able to play a gig.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that you should
harm yourself to play a gig.
Yeah,
don't do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I just think that clearly there has been a change in the waters. And I don't know if this is across the board or if this is just in DIY punk, because I only know DIY punk, really. But there's definitely been a bit of a change in the waters of, like, we haven't prepared to get ourselves to this gig. And then at the last minute, we're just going to say, oh, no, we can't get there after all.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to change anything about this. But I suppose I'm just airing something that I've definitely noticed, that COVID has said, if you're ill, don't play a gig, right? That's fine. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. The problem is what that's done, I feel like, is it's just enabled everybody to be like, oh, I don't really want to... Oh, that gig doesn't look like it's going to be very good. There's not going to be many people.
I would say there's one minor pro, and then the rest is con. I think it has... What COVID has done is it's done this look after yourself vibe. So, say, for example...
What about... Hold on, just very quickly, you're right, but just because I'll miss it otherwise. What about looking after the people that want to come and see your band? What about looking after the promoter that's put on shitloads of effort in order to give you the opportunity to do something, who's then stressed out of their mind trying to replace you?
100%.
So you're right.
But then if you're struggling
well.
yourself, 100%. But equally, I do think it's made people allowed to think, you know what, I need to make sure I'm okay. But the point is, you need to make sure you're okay leading up to it. If you're booking gigs, then make sure you're in a position to play them.
But I just think that this is a problem. It's a problem with society in general. You're right. You should make sure that you're okay, but you should also think about if other people are okay.
I agree, and I am definitely on that side. But yeah, on the whole, I feel like as a gig attendee, I go there and I'm like, cool, I wonder who's going to play. Like, that's been the gig lineup for months, but I wonder who's actually going to play.
But I suppose that's
and that's shit.
But in a way, that's almost my point. It's like, it's in a way that's not a problem. Like, I'm not like, I am a consumer of music and you have not turned up and I have paid my £5. I don't mean that. Like, I'm not really annoyed in that context. Like, I want to have gigs to go to, but to be honest, if the bands all change, then so be it. Like, I'll be disappointed about not seeing some or whatever. But it's not really that. It's the fact that there's obviously been an extreme shift, because in the past, right up until when COVID hit, you knew that if you were going to a gig, it was incredibly unlikely that any band would pull out.
Yeah.
There might be occasionally one.
It never
here
really
or there,
happened.
but it never really happened. Now, like you say, you go to a gig and you're like, or a gig gets announced and you're like, yeah, but how many of those bands are going to be playing by the end? And you'd be right to think that.
Yeah.
I think and again, let me be clear, I'm not having to go at any particular bands, but I don't think a single gig that we've put on as Toxic What's It has not been changed. And some of them a number of times.
Yeah.
I mean, the gig that we think has now been cancelled, which is happening tomorrow, and you will all know whether it's been cancelled. I think it started as a 7-band bill, and I think in total we might have booked and announced 9 bands or something, and we're down to 3. Well, no, we're not even down to 3. We're going to have to cancel it because I think we've got 2 left.
I think we're down to 2. It depends if my band can sort it out by the morning, but
it's and obviously some of that is because of COVID, and that's fine, and some of it is because of genuine reasons as well. I'm not having to go at any of the bands that were booked to play that gig at all, but it's just like something's changed there in people's mindsets.
Yeah.
And I think, and again, I have nothing to do with organising Manchester Punk Festival. I have no inside knowledge. I'm not speaking for anybody here. But, like, I do think it must have been a very stressful weekend.
Oh, my God. But to their absolute credit, they fucking smashed it. Like, I cannot... And I felt for them because they kept putting out these, like, apologies. This person's cancelled. We replace them with this person. Apologies, this person's cancelled. This person's cancelled. Cool. Now we're going to just offer a couple of double sets to people. Really
and
sorry.
good on the
all
bands
these apologies.
That played 2 sets.
Yeah,
as well,
and I was just like, you know what? As an attendee, you wouldn't know that any stress had happened other than bumping into people in the street and being like, "Are you okay?" And they're like, "I don't know." But to actually just go and see the bands again, I'm so impressed at how everything ran on time, how everything actually happened, how everyone sounded brilliant. Like, wasn't one band that you went to see that you thought, God, the sound isn't right in here. Everything was just perfect to our eye. So I can't imagine how stressful it could have been in HQ, but as I think
attended, HQ was just the bar, probably.
But I think it was really good, and when I did see some of the people who put it on in the crowds, they looked like they were relieving their stress very well.
Oh, no, absolutely. And I mean,
so they were doing good.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it must have been it's a stressful thing anyway, I'm sure. If every single band turned up and played on time, that would be a stressful thing in of itself. But it's just
so many people to
just thinking about, I suppose, and again, maybe I'm thinking about it in a different way. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how gigs from now on go. But credit to all the organisers and to all the volunteers. I can't imagine how many people volunteered to be a part of this. But it must be loads, considering how many venues and how many people you have to put in the right place. So just a massive well done. Tickets for MPF next year already on sale. I think they went on sale a couple of days before this year even happened.
If there is anybody that hasn't been to Manchester Punk Festival that's listening to this and likes punk music of any kind, and likes fun, you've got to go. Because it's amazing. It's such it is a lovely setup as well. Like the city, it's a great city. Like Manchester's a lovely city anyway. Yeah. The venues are all cool. I know Siobhan badmouth Gorilla quite a lot, but I mean, it's a great.
I was going to get that earlier next time. That's all. It's actually a really lovely venue.
It's actually a really cool place.
Yeah, it's just that 15 minutes of onsen that I'll never leave my lungs.
And that was just probably the people you were packed in around as well. That's the other thing. It's not really the venue's fault. But, like we said, as stupid as it sounds, shit like drinking in the park with your mates. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying we don't we do that all the fucking time.
I mean, we live next to a park where we frequently
I'm sure most of you do too. But, like, it is just really nice. I don't know. It's a lovely atmosphere. It's brilliant. Yeah. There's no negative side to going to it. you know? Like,
8 hours on the
the journey, the journey from Hastings. But if most people don't live as far away. So
God, imagine living up that way and then go. Oh, anyway, beautiful thing. Love it.
So we had a lovely time. Thank you so much to everybody who put it on. Thank you so much to everybody in every band that we watched. If any of you are listening, thank you so much to every single person that we bumped into and had fun. And more than anything else, probably, thank you so much to everybody that actually came and watched us do our funky little podcast.
Funky
That
little
was much
thing.
appreciated.
Yeah, really loved it. Thank you. So, we're going to play a song. This song is from Oi Polloi, who we've already sang their praises a hell of a lot. This song is called Blame It on the System. They're a band from Scotland. This is the title track from a 10-inch of the same name, which came out sort of as COVID kicked off in 2020. So this is Oi Polloi with Blame It on the System.
Pictures up.
Rolling.
Rolling.
It's the trash. It's the sweet, sweet trash.
To avoid fainting, keep repeating.
I love what I see.
Leave the auditorium. It's only a movie. Only a movie.
This week's trashy movie for review is Red Surf from 1989, starring George Clooney.
As gang leaders, they raised hell.
Hey, all right, great.
When they decided to go straight, things got a lot rougher.
You can't be going out on runs anymore, man. What do you get busted? Huh? What about Rebecca? What's she gonna do?
Red Surf. Now there's a chance for one last score.
We do this one deal, all right?
This last deal.
Yeah, one last deal. Okay, we make a shitload of cash, we get out of Dodge.
A deal that would set them up for life.
You're not gonna change. It's just the same.
Hey, I'm not gonna do this my whole life.
But in this world, there are no winners.
This is the Russian-made AK-47 assault rifle. Shoots single round or full rock and roll.
It's my ticket out of here.
Reckon that kid is your ticket out of here.
What do you got to prove out there?
I got nothing to prove.
Red Surf. Staying alive is only half the battle.
A surfer enjoys life with drug money together with his gang in 1980s California. His girlfriend is pregnant and will not be in a house with drugs and guns and is going to Portland. Can he quit the drugs, the gang, and that last big deal? The surfer in question is, of course, the glorious George Clooney, who does a smidge of surfing in this film. It's called Red Surf. There's no surfing. There's one tiny bit of surfing at the end.
I wondered whether it was referring, because they call the sea surf, don't they?
Oh, okay.
So I wonder whether they were, because they're mostly on
jet skis.
Jet skis, that's the word.
And they go out on the jet skis and get the drugs from the water. I'm not going to lie, and spoiler alert, I really like this film, even though it's got a solid 3.7 on IMDb.
What did you like about it, Siobhan?
Well, I like many things. Mr. George Clooney. Let's get into Mr. George Clooney for a beginning. I don't know where this features in his filmatic career.
Well, he's been in a lot of trash.
He was in a lot of trash in the 80s, wasn't he? His first films were like all kind of trash. He's in Killer Tomatoes, isn't he?
He is. I think that's the only thing that I'm aware of him doing. But I think he's in a bunch of really trashy movies.
He cropped up in loads of trashy movies in the 80s, I believe. Speaking of crop, he dons some fucking glorious crop tops in this film. Didn't know it was a thing.
He looks like dog shit in this film.
No, well, I started by saying looks like dog shit, and I've also put George Clooney pigeon-toed because
he has to walk on a beach.
He does walk.
He is in like little ankle cowboy boots.
Yeah, and
like
big
John
jeans.
Bon Jovi's shoes.
Yeah, he looks like John Bon Jovi's dad at that point. Bad, but yeah, no, I was like, oh, does he? Is he really like off? But then I changed my mind. I wrote, always handsome, but wait till you see him in a Guns N' Roses crop t-shirt and a red waistcoat.
Oh, it's not just a red waistcoat, it's like a red furry waistcoat.
No, that one's like a red, like, patent one. But then he's got, like, this black tassel jacket, he's got these weird sunglasses, and he has a small ponytail at one point, and then I go back to the dog shit feeling. But
he wears his pants over his belt line.
Oh, he does.
You can see because he's wearing the Guns N' Roses crop top.
He rocks the shit out of a crop top. Him and his buddy. I don't know what his buddy's called, but they both had
all
some...
of his friends. Can I ask you? I don't know if you can pinpoint this.
All right.
What fashion is this?
I don't know, but I like it.
To be?
Well, some of them have really big, like, motorbike boots over their really baggy stonewashed jeans.
There's so much
that are
stonewashing
up to their kind of belly button. Then they're like dead tanned and muscular with these tiny crop tops, like loose t-shirts that they fashion into crop tops. Very much like I would do, but that they're doing. And I just didn't realise that it was a thing, but it's such a thing.
They have a lot of like nondescript artwork on them as well, like, you know, on the back of one of their leather jackets, it's kind of got just a skull and crossbones.
Yeah.
But it's not really specific to anything.
Yeah.
And I think George Clooney wears a leather waistcoat at one point, and he's got some like dangles and brooches on it. And it's like one's just a cross, and one I think is another skull and cross. But they're just like generic bad boy things.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't quite work out, in 1989, it's not quite cock rock. It's definitely not like pre-grunge.
But it's Guns N' Roses, isn't it? It's exactly that time.
Yeah, but they're kind of... I think they'd consider themselves punks.
But they're meant to also be like surfer dudes, and at the beginning they're very like dudes at the party.
Yeah, oh my god.
Like with all their like shitty jokes. Like, yeah. But it starts like they're going to like clearly be like teenagers. They're like, oh, my mum. And then all of a sudden they're like drug runners, and the girlfriend's pregnant, and they're all of a sudden a bit older, and I don't understand.
Well, they don't
it's not very
look
clear.
young either. I mean, I presume George Clooney must have been young, just from the fact that he's now not ancient.
Yeah.
But he looks like they all look like they could be sort of at least in their 30s, if not 40s.
I don't think that's... No. I don't think so, no.
Oh, okay.
But, I don't know.
Anyway, you didn't answer my question.
Yes.
What fashion is this?
Very good fashion. It's
Okay.
Bon Jovi fashion, I think. It's Bon Jovi meets punk meets, for some reason, surf. But surfing as much as they've all got floppy hair and they're all tanned.
Curtains. Mega curtains.
And he's got lovely curly curtains and
They're
floppy
huge.
curtains.
They're the biggest curtains you'll ever see.
They're beautiful.
On all of them. All of them have got the same haircut.
They're beautiful.
And when it blows in the wind, they just sort of turn into
it.
strange, like, white throw things.
Well, speaking of fashion, and speaking of very glorious men that are in this film, a surprise name popped up on the credits as it started. Someone we didn't know was going to be in this film. Who's very beautiful. Care to talk about him?
Mr. Gene Simmons.
Mr. Gene Simmons.
Of the rock band Kiss.
Of the rock band Kiss. As I live and breathe. There he be.
Well, Gene Simmons also looks like absolute shit.
He looks really bad.
He looks like he's sort of bloated and something's gone wrong.
I wondered
like
whether he
his ear
had
or
something up his like shirt to
No.
make him fat. No, because I don't know. He didn't.
No.
He wasn't meant to look like that.
He does
think.
look like that in the sort of late 80s Kiss videos. If you
does
think
he?
about it. Yeah, he's kind of hidden behind
'Cause I
Paul
thought
Stanley's being super fabulous.
But then this is like
those
about
videos.
to be 90s, like Gene's writing the songs and singing a lot, and they're going to be like heavy.
You're talking
and
about
that's
the
where...
Revenge album.
I
sort
am
of.
talking about
I mean,
it.
actually, that came out in '92.
Okay.
And so he would have had a couple of years to slim down a little bit. But also, what you've got to remember is that on the Revenge album, Gene Simmons wore a floor-length, really baggy leather jacket.
Oh, fair enough.
They all did.
What to
So
sing
you
about?
You wouldn't know.
Screwing teenagers or whatever he does on that album.
He does sing about screwing teenagers.
Bad boy.
I think a 13-year-old.
Well, in this he plays Doc, the medic who... Doc the medic.
He's not a medic.
No, he was a medic in Vietnam, which is why they call him Doc. I think that's why they call him Doc.
That's true.
And at the beginning, he just looks like the dude that lends them some jet skis, but it turns out he may be the drug kingpin, but that's never really explained.
He seemed like a sensible man at the start. He was
Yeah.
sort of telling them not to do drugs and stuff, but then at the end he just gets a massive bazooka out or something.
Well, he's
and
like the
goes to
saviour.
war. Well, I suppose that's because he's a soldier, but he's definitely the one who's organising the drug deals.
Yeah, he plans the last drug deal for sure.
Very confusing. At one point he says, "Keep your ass wired shut." I don't know what that means, but
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. What did you think of George Clooney's girlfriend's cooking skills?
Oh my hell. Well, in fairness, she's not encouraged very much because at one point, so the girlfriend becomes pregnant. George
Yes.
Clooney finds out about it. They decide they're happy. They're emotions go up and down an awful lot in this film. She's either extremely like fancy free and happy and doesn't give a toss, and then within about a second she's like extremely sad and given up on him, and then in the next scene she's happy again and everything's fine. But her cooking, he says to her when she goes off to do her cooking, don't get fat or anything. That was a very strange thing for him to say, really, particularly as she's just told him he's pregnant.
Yeah.
But she appears to cook some roast beef and then adds ice cream to it. Well, sort of to it. She puts ice cream in a bowl and then puts the bowl in the middle of the tray with roast beef. And while she's doing this, he's smoking crack. So then she comes in and gives him roast beef, ice cream and crack for his dinner. It's a very strange.
At 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. But not only that one time does she do that, she always... I think it's just because they only had one pan or something. Like, she has this big roasting tray.
Which is like a throwaway tinfoil tray.
Yeah, but like every time she's cooking, she just produces this from the oven that has some nondescript meat in it.
And then
later
gets ice cream out.
Yeah, and gets ice cream out. They must have been the only two things they had. At one point, she describes the stuff in the oven as chicken, but it's... I'm not a meatsman, as you know, but... It's not chicken. It's really dark. It looks like burnt... I don't know what
Why are you eating it with ice cream? Anyway.
It's insane cooking. That's what it is.
Another character in this film I really enjoy is Jerry, the motorbike fixer man, who just props up the once. He must have been a famous man somewhere. And when George Clooney appears, he goes, you come back for your old job or you're just going to suck my dick?
Yeah,
don't know what that's
he did
about.
say that. He said, we can go in the back and you can suck my dick, which I thought was quite... forward thinking in a way. Just calmly. Got two men just calmly discussing how they're going to go and suck each other's dicks.
He's like, oh, Jerry.
That's great.
Oh, that's Jerry. What a dude. There's a bit where George Clooney and his mate are getting drunk by the fire and they're doing a Would You Rather. And I'm going to ask you the Would You Rather and see what you think.
I don't remember what it was.
Would you rather a spool of barbed wire up your bum, threaded up your bum?
Right.
Or to slide down a banister covered in razor blades and you're naked.
Oh, barbed wire up the bum.
It is barbed wire up the bum every time, isn't it?
No question, is it?
Yeah, absolutely no question. You're not sliding down there.
What does Giorgio pick?
He goes barbed wire up the bum every day.
He
goes, I gotta die with a dick, is what he said. Which wasn't really my concern, but
there's so many references to dick in this. There's a policeman that when one of them gets arrested. And he's threatening him that he's going to go to jail. Yeah. And he threatens him with 3 pounds of dick.
Yeah!
And I was trying to work out how much 3 pounds is. And I think it's 3 bags, large bags of sugar.
I don't think it's quite that much. I don't think a pound and a kilo are the same.
Oh, I've got kilos and pounds mixed up. But 3 pounds of dick is a lot.
Yeah.
I've never weighed mine.
I don't think it's 3 pounds.
It's definitely not 3 pounds. But... 3 pounds of dick is such an obscure thing to say to another person.
Does that mean that it's maybe more than one? Maybe that's what he's referencing. It didn't feel like that's what he was referencing.
Maybe.
It felt like he was referencing a fatty.
I'm just going to find out how many kilograms 3 pounds is. 3 pounds is 1.36 kilograms.
Oh, that is a fair amount of dick.
That's a large bag of sugar and a small bag of sugar mixed together.
Yeah. Or an incredibly... large amount of dick.
I mean, he's obviously threatening him with a large dick. Although it's very presumptuous that he's not quite looking forward to that. I mean, the other guy's giving head to his boss out the back, so why not? Why not? Maybe 3 pounds of dick will be delicious. It's much 3 pounds of rather 3 pounds of dick than a fucking dumbbell.
2 kilo, actually, yeah, slightly less. Slightly less. Slightly less.
It is. Smaller than the dumbbell, bigger than my cock.
The drug kingpins in this are all horrendous in their own way, but the main guy, who for some reason, I think they're all meant to be the same age, but they've dressed the main kingpin up like a 80s...
He's got one of those silvery grey suits on.
Yeah, and they've just given him like the worst kind of mullet, not a cool one. He gets very sprightly after taking heroin.
Yeah, he does.
He takes some heroin and then he just shoots the shit out of something. Like I don't know.
It's like a pick me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just.
He does a shot too. Maybe that's. He does heroin, then he takes a shot, and then he just stands up and gets on with it.
Heroin, kilo, and he's on. He's on. Fuck knows what he's like if he doesn't take all that heroin and tequila. He must be a right pain in the arse. But yeah, I thought that was odd. How about you? Any extra little tidbits from this film you enjoyed?
You've covered an awful lot of the... I mean, spoiler alert, I didn't really like this film very much at all. But I thought I was gonna.
Oh, okay.
Because I think maybe not the first scene, but if not the first, then the second or third scene bangs in with a Husker Du song.
Oh,
and
yeah!
I was like, fuck me, this soundtrack at least is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And at that point I hadn't quite got confused about their fashion, so I sort of thought, they're kind of punks. And when they went into his bedroom, he had loads of really cool, like, LA punk flyers stuck on the wall. There's like a Dead Kennedys one and loads of, like, really obscure ones. And so I was like, alright, someone who's made this film knows what's up.
Yeah.
They didn't.
They did not know what was up.
From that point onwards, everything just went to horseshit. There's loads of that, like, nondescript, sexy synth sax, which just sort of plays over everything, whether it's like an emotional scene or a dangerous scene or it doesn't really matter what's going on.
Is it bad that I didn't notice it? Have I become immune to sexy synth?
It's used in all of these films, so maybe. Gene Simmons keeps referring to his water skis as these babies. He says these babies about 10 times in one conversation. I think that's weird. They go to like a punk bar, or one of them goes to a punk bar to sell some drugs. And I'm fairly sure it's Madame Wong's, which is a venue which is featured in Decline of the Western Civilization that we talk about, on a genuine LA like punk venue.
It doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore, but I'm almost certain. I couldn't find anywhere. I looked up on the internet. I couldn't find proof, but I'm the proof.
You are the proof. Just say it. It is proof.
But I don't know what the fuck the band was that were playing in there. That was not a band from Decline of Western Civilization. No. I think they were supposed to be bad. I think they were kind of like really overacting being rock stars, as if they were like really drunk, man.
Yeah, man. Need a Quaalude, man.
And it was like, so they were just making noises, and then the singer, I initially thought, this must be a band, I wonder who it is, but then the singer ends up acting in the film a little bit, so I presume it was just a load of shit. But yeah, he's got a really annoying English accent. There's a don't do drugs fridge magnet on their fridge whilst he's doing crack. Thought that was a nice touch.
I like that he gets his Quaaludes out of a sandwich bag, and he's full of them. It's just casually at the party.
He does.
Love it.
Gene Simmons, so at the very end, they go to the drug dealer's house and they're going to have a big shootout and sort everything out. And Gene Simmons says, the most important thing, this is in his pep talk, when we get in there, if you get hit, take it. It's like, well, what the fuck else are you going to do?
Gene.
If you get shot, just accept the bullet. Like, what the fuck? What does that even mean? What are you talking about?
You are now one. Ignore it.
And there's another weird bit in that scene where the drug kingpin, like, appears in front of one of them.
Yeah.
And he's got his gun out, so he fires the gun. But when he fires the gun, a mirror shatters, and it turns out the person he thought was the drug kingpin was a mirror.
Yeah.
But
that means
the
he must
filmmaker definitely didn't understand how mirrors work, because the guy who he thought he'd seen in the mirror was standing right at the other end of a corridor round a corner. So there's no fucking way his reflection could have been in the mirror. So that was very confusing.
That was very silly, not thought out.
Mostly I was just looking at all of the strange fashions. The stonewashed jeans. There were so many stonewashed jeans. There were so many waistcoats. They often would wear 4 or 5 t-shirts all together, but they'd be different sizes. So the underneath t-shirt was like an extra large, and then there'd be a little skinny one on top.
Skinny vest.
It was very confusing. They all looked terrible. I think that 1989 was cool in my what I think of 1989 as, like around about the early 90s, just that pre-grunge, post-punk thing that was going on in that little gap that no one talks about very much, because
it was mostly Guns N' Roses for the mass.
Well, it was in the mainstream, but I feel like there was loads. I think of it as a cool time, but having watched this film, I now think it must have been a fucking dreadful time.
No!
Everyone just wore stonewashed fucking jeans and those little cowboy boots that just go up the ankle. I used to wear them to school. When I was like 12, I had a pair.
I would love to. What were your bondage trousers?
No, I didn't wear bondage trousers.
Or did you have with your little cowboy tie?
No, I wore a school uniform with cowboy boots.
Oh, much better.
The director's name is H. Gordon Booze, and I would like to give H. Gordon Booze a number of boos for his attempt at making a film, because honestly I didn't enjoy this at all. It obviously had a bit of a budget. I mean, it wasn't like high budget by any means, but it obviously, in comparison, so this is the other thing, we've done a stupid really. We picked Red Surf at random because we've got it on a 4 DVD set, of just like one of those shit
Action
films.
films.
Yeah, that you buy from the charity shop that we got 50p. And so we've been thinking about watching it for ages, mostly because Giorgio Clooney is in it.
I love a bit of Giorgio Clooney.
But, of course, last episode we did Surf Nazis Must Die, so now we've done 2 films with surf in the title. It's very poorly planned.
Very poor.
But let me compare them as a result. Obviously, Red Surf had much more money to play with, much better actors, much better sets, everything is better as far as how it was made. Yet...
And yet...
Surf Nazis Must Die is a million times better than this piece of shit. And there's not one thing that this does better than it. Even like the surfing footage, which they obviously had loads more money to do, they didn't do as well.
Yeah.
The acting, I suppose you might argue that the acting is better, in as much as these people are actually trained actors, but it doesn't have any of the charm.
I know.
It doesn't have any of the character.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything that Surf Nazis Must Die does. So in that context, these people should be ashamed of themselves.
What a squad.
H. Gordon Booze should not make another film, and ironically, I'm not sure that he did. But yeah, if you're going to watch one surf film, watch Surf Nazis Must Die, not Red Surf. I did think that this must be a Point Break rip-off.
That's what I was thinking,
But I think that 1989, I think Point Break is 90.
It's got that young boy in it. What's his name? Canoe. We love a bit of Canoe.
That young boy?
Oh, that young Canoe.
Canoe or Giorgio Clooney?
This is unfair.
I mean, it's Canoe.
It is Canoe. It is Canoe.
No doubt. Here's something
is
about...
Is it Canoe?
Oh, go on. Oh,
no,
interesting.
No, because I think George Clooney is wonderful. Oh, brother, where art thou?
Yeah, he's great.
What a genius. He's just a wonderful human being. And Canoe, for all his credit, I feel like George is such an actor in that he's obviously acting and he's very good. Whereas Canoe, I'm not always sure he's acting. I'm not always sure he's even awake sometimes. And I love him to bits.
Yeah, he's not an actor.
But he's not doing very well sometimes. As people, as human beings, Canoe.
All day.
As actors, probably Clooney.
But here's something. I don't know whether you would agree with me on this. But something that I thought of is that I've always considered George Clooney to be a really good actor. Definitely.
I think he's fantastic.
And he is a good actor. But I would say that in this film, he's no worse of an actor than he is in all of those other things. Like, he's fine in this film. He's still himself. He's obviously George Clooney, right?
He's always George Clooney.
But he doesn't come across as a good actor in the context of Red Surf. Do you know what I mean? And so
I think he makes it really watchable.
I don't think that his performance stands out from anybody else's performance. And the point that I'm trying to make is that we watch all of these terrible movies, right? And in these movies, you just presume everybody can't act. And so as a result, you just sort of write him off. But then George Clooney has gone on to obviously much bigger things, and you consider him a very good actor. But to see him in this movie is like, well, he's just doing what he does in all those Hollywood films. But he doesn't stand out from anyone else. So does that mean that any of these people, including, by the way, Michelle Pfeiffer's sister, who's in this... Dee Dee Pfeiffer. Who turns out, I think, did have a bit of a career. But anyway, could any of these people have just been massive stars if they just happened to get a break? Is George Clooney a better actor? You know, we say, he did an amazing performance in that Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? But what if one of these other scumbags that ended up obviously probably homeless or something because they didn't get any more jobs? What if they had ended up in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Would we be thinking to ourselves, that Philip McKeon, who actually is really ugly, so we wouldn't have thought that about him. Would we have thought that
he was
Doug
in
Savant?
a Ghoulies film.
There you go, but that's what I mean.
Ghoulies 4.
But those people were no worse. In fact, Gene Simmons, acting-wise, no, he was fine.
He was bad.
He was fine.
No, he went from like... He just like...
But so did everyone.
Nah,
and if you think about it, that's all that George Clooney does in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? He just does it with A, a nice face, and B, a nice song.
He does have a nice face. He does have a nice face. God damn that Cloons.
Give Red Surf a rating.
Oh, do you want to go first?
No, you go first.
I didn't hate it. Maybe I'm just swooned by the Clooney.
You said you liked it. You don't have to change it just because I'm bad.
No, but I did find it weirdly watchable. There was a confusion at the end where I was like, why are those people dead? What's going on? It's not well told at all.
No,
it doesn't make any sense at all. But the things you hate, I loved the stonewash. I got really into the stonewash on the crop top in the end. I just loved what they did. It is quite shit, but it's the kind of trash I can get behind, and I'm giving it 5 out of 10.
Oh, I thought you were going to go higher.
I didn't love it, but it's just not. It's not.
I'm pretty sure you said, spoiler alert, I loved this film at the start of this review. Well, I am going to...
But it's not the best film I've ever seen. You can't rate these things too highly. There's nothing that good about it, but it was very watchable. 5 out of 10.
I'm going to give it 3 out of 10.
Oh, that's higher than I
the
thought
same
you would.
number of pounds of dick as that guy's going to get in jail. And now we're going to play another song. We're going to play a song from Martha, who we've talked about already. Another band who played Manchester Punk Festival, who were fucking amazing. This is from their album Love Keeps Kicking, which came out in 2019. The album is perfect. Martha are from Durham. You all know them. This song is also called Love Keeps Kicking, so there you go. It's Martha.
said love keeps kicking the shit out of me, and there's no solution I can see. No happy pill, no drinking bleach, no permanent lobotomy. Oh, I tried living, I tried giving, I tried fibbing, I tried kidding, I tried wishing, I tried switching, I tried sitting, I tried drifting, I tried quitting, I tried splitting, I tried shifting, I tried fitting, I tried relenting, tried resisting, tried insisting, you're not listening. Love keeps kicking, love keeps kicking, oh yeah. Love keeps kicking, love keeps kicking, oh yeah. Love keeps kicking, love keeps kicking, oh yeah. Love keeps kicking, love keeps kicking.
Well, that is everything from this episode of Breakfast Punks podcast. Thank you so much for listening this far. I hope you have enjoyed yourselves, and I hope you have been doing something nice for the past 2.5 hours whilst we've spent your time with us. This is a strange thing to say.
You've said it now.
If you would like to support us, you can do so. You can simply follow us on Instagram
That would do it.
at Breakfast Punks Podcast. As ever, I will make a YouTube playlist of this episode with some stuff in it.
Oh, loads of stuff.
Mostly just the bands from Manchester Punk Fest, I suppose.
Yeah.
And you can follow us on or subscribe to us on YouTube. That is also Breakfast Punks Podcast. If you would like to really support us, we have a Patreon.
Yeah.
And you can do so at patreon.com/Breakfast Punks
Podcast.
There's links to all of this through the Instagram. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. And if you give more than £3 a month, then you get a free extra episode, of which there are now 3.
3.
Just like them pounds a dick.
Maybe 4.
More than the pounds a dick.
We might have more episodes than pounds.
But there will be another one coming out very soon after this episode comes out.
Yes.
Which we are yet to record, so I can't tell you anything about it.
No.
And this podcast comes out every 2 weeks, like clockwork. And so we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes. As always, we'll finish with a song. This is from Monolithian, and the song is The Mountain Bows to No One. It's from This Waning Moon, which came out in 2017. We've mentioned Monolithian already. It's Lovely Simon from Seabin and Shannon from Bobby Funk.
And go and check out the Seabin podcast if you haven't already, but again, I'm sure you all have.
They're very, very funny. And and we'll see you soon. We'll leave you with Monolithian, The Mountain Bows to No One. Goodbye.
Goodbye.